we're live from Lincoln High School in the city by the bay, San Francisco, for tonight's 2013 AAA San Francisco Sections Boys Volleyball Championships. It is the Lowell Cardinals taking on the Galileo Lions. I am Michael K. Smith, also known as Mike on the mic, along with my broadcast partner tonight, Stephen Davies. I call him Stephen All Davies because he comes through on the clutch on the broadcast all day. Also here with our producer, Omar Lewis, and Hans Webb is shooting the video for you tonight. A very cool-looking venue for a volleyball championship, especially here in San Francisco. Lincoln's campus, very nice. For most city schools, they all have to kind of share, places to play. But Lincoln seems to have some nice facilities, and this game is a rematch of last year's championship, in which Lowell, who was trying to make wrong for an early exit a year before that in 2011, they were looking for redemption, and they got it. Galileo was looking for back-to-back championships after their first section title in that 2011 season, and Lowell came out inspired. A guy that I'll be talking about a lot throughout the match by the name of Jacob Blumenfeld really was kind of the heart and soul of last year's championship run, and now he's a senior, and he's paired with another senior, which Steven will be talking about a lot throughout the night for Lowell, in Enders Eng. Both of them want to go out on top one more time before they graduate and move on to play at higher levels. It's going to be a really great game. Last year's championship was a pretty good one from what I've read and heard. I wasn't there. My broadcast partner, Stephen Davies, was there. Stephen, just if you can, give the fans a little flashback into last year's 2012 championship between these two squads.
Well, it's wonderful to be back here at Boyle Court inside the Lincoln High School Gymnasium. Almost a year to the day since Play On Sports' first broadcast here in the San Francisco section, and what a game it was. I was on the play-by-play that night as, you mentioned, the defending champion Galileo Lions faced the underdog Lowell Cardinals. That's something we don't say very often when it comes to San Francisco sports. Lowell coming in as the underdog. But it was a game filled with fantastic plays, drama, intrigue, guts, and, of course, edge-of-your-seat excitement. I even said at one point during the broadcast that I didn't want to see it end, and I'm pretty sure that everyone here in the gymnasium felt the same way. But in the end, there had to be a winner, and it was the underdog Cardinals that finally pulled out a dramatic seventh championship in school history in 4 games, 22-25, 29-27, 25-22, 31-29. And now, of course, the roles are reversed. The Cardinals come in tonight's championship game as the top seed, while the Lions come in as the underdog. 2 wily coaches that know exactly how to get the best out of their respective team. And, of course, 2 very loud cheering sections. Safe to say that in last year's championship game, I think they got a little bit carried away. And I really think this is a game that both teams have an equal chance to win. I really hope it goes 5 games. But I think you have to give the slightest of edges to the defending champion Cardinals.
Well, both teams finishing right atop the San Francisco Section League as far as the regular season went. They both finished with the identical record of 13-1 in league play. It was Lowell who took the first of 2 matchups between the two squads this year, as they swept the Galileo Lions on their home court 3-0 earlier this season, and then Galileo returning the favor in the second match as they took the second match, but it was a little bit harder for Galileo to win, as it took all 5 sets to get there. Galileo winning 3-2. That was back earlier this month on May 1st. So both teams have taken matches from each other this year, and I asked Coach Hyun from Galileo if he felt that maybe with his team getting the latest of the victories, if he felt that maybe they have an advantage, and he said, no, I wouldn't say that our team has an advantage at all. He says, we're both 2 evenly matched teams. All I've stressed is for the boys to get here. They've wanted to be here, but they didn't think they were going to be here, and now they're here. And he just says, play in the moment, and don't leave anything left to be unsaid, because last year with 24 errors, he felt like maybe his team was the one that kind of lost it. Maybe, Lowell didn't come out and really beat them per se, more that they lost it themselves. And he said there was a lot of things that his boys, at the end of the match last year in that championship match, they felt that they left out on the floor and they didn't accomplish the things they wanted to accomplish. So he said, just go out there, have fun. As for Lowell, Lowell talking to their coach, Stephen Wesley, he's not much for words, but he actually gave me a lot of time, which was great of him. And he said for him, it's all about trust. His boys got to trust each other. There are some stars on the team when you talk about Blumenfeld and Engers Eng, but you can't rely on just your stars. There are some really good role players on this Lowell team, especially Cardio. He's a beast on the defensive side of things. He could be a guy that could get a lot of blocks for Lowell tonight. There's some other players as far as the younger Blumenfeld. Samuel Blumenfeld could be a factor tonight. And you also want to look at another senior. You talk about Jacob Blumenfeld and Enders Eng. They get a lot of the pub for seniors. But there's a guy in Jason Leong who's really been a part of this program, and he knows what it takes to get the job done. So Lowell feels that they have a pretty stacked roster, and it's going to be awesome to see what happens tonight. They're going through the player introductions right now. And let's talk about some of those star players, though, for Lowell. I'll talk about Samuel Blumenfeld first. Like I said, folks, he was the heart and soul of this team, according to Coach Stephen Wesley. It's been noted and written in many articles that he has this fear of leaving the younger players, not teaching them all of what it takes so that they can be successful in the years following, because he will graduate this year. And to me, that just speaks very high volumes of the guy. It shows that he has character. It shows that he wants to be that inspiring factor. And it was really noted in last year's championship run how in his first year on varsity in 2011 with that early exit, he saw the way that the seniors were heartbroken that year. And he learned a lot from that. And last year as a junior, he didn't want the younger guys to have to feel that. And now even this year, he really doesn't want them to feel that. And he wants them to be prepared for next season when him and Eng and Leong will be graduated. And talking to Coach Wesley, he said, those are the things that you're just proud of a guy as a coach, beyond his talents, but just to have that kind of mindset, that kind of want to coach the younger guys and make sure they're prepared. That speaks a lot about a guy.
It's funny you mentioned that they used that 2011 campaign as motivation and how they saw the seniors were heartbroken after that game, because it's exactly the same motivation that Anders Eng used. He's the only 4-year player on varsity for Coach Stephen Wesley, and really was one of the spark plugs of last year's title-winning team, finishing with team best 9 kills in that final game. Drawing his motivation, as I said, from the previous season, when a young but talented Lowell team is defending champions with 2 games up in the semifinal against Lincoln, but unfortunately it all unraveled as Lincoln's outside hitters took over the game, winning a wild 21-25, 21-25, 25-19, 25-19, 16-14 match to book their place in the final. And now in the final game of his high school career, Eng wants to go out on top with potentially 3 titles out of 4.
Yeah, a couple quotes speaking about both boys that was published in an article by the Lowell.org, which is the school paper. Michelle Wong wrote a really good piece back on April 25th about how this team was looking for their second straight championship, and these were some of the quotes that really spoke out to me. As for Stephen Wesley, talking about Enders Eng, the only player on his team that's been on varsity all 4 years, he said, he's actually like my kid. He has a lot of young talent, and throughout the years he has grown in confidence, leadership, and responsibility. End quote. And when I talked to him, he said that he's really learned a lot through Enders Eng. As for Blumenfeld said this, kind of repeating what I said. When I was a sophomore and we lost in the playoffs in 2011, I was close to this one captain, and he really wanted to win. So now I think about winning it for the team as a whole, and that loss 2 years ago is motivation for me. And last year, we were the underdogs because we had a loss in the playoffs the year before, and we were not that close as a team. But this year, we aren't anymore because we took the championship back again. However, we'll need to stay focused and play strong. And I think that that goes to sentiments of Coach Steve Wesley saying that can't be about individuals. We've got to all trust each other and play together as a team. But not to draw too much on Lowell, we'll talk a little bit about Galileo. There wasn't much to be written or said about Galileo, so that's why throughout this broadcast, folks, it may seem like we're favoring Lowell, but it's just because we have more things to go off of. But there is something worth of note for Galileo, and that's that their star player, or the player that looks to be the star when you talk about who was a motivational force in their championship run in 2011 and who had a pretty good game last year in the championship game. Talking about Mr. Pang, that being David Pang, outside hitter, a junior who's now been on varsity 3 years. Supposedly he's a little bit banged up tonight, so we'll see if he'll be able to go. Coach says he should be playing. He just doesn't know if he's going to start for sure. And if he can be successful and really give the Galileo Lions that boost that they're going to need to get over a very talented Lowell team tonight.
One interesting thing I thought that both Eng and David Pang shared together is they both know how it feels to win and lose in the playoffs. David Pang won the championship 2 years ago alongside his now graduated older brother Jackie, both of whom played brilliantly in their victory over Lincoln back in 2011, combining for 24 kills and 12 in the final game. But he, of course, was part of that team last year that lost. Jackie's now graduated, moved on. David is a junior, and he has that kind of experience that can lead his team on to potential victory here tonight. And you can imagine after Galileo, probably with those 24 serving errors in last year's championship game, feeling like they could have actually taken it, they'll be fired up here tonight. And it should be a really exciting game, as once again we have a full house on hand and a vibrant atmosphere here at Boyle Court inside the Lincoln High School Gymnasium.
Yeah, I mean, you can hear the loudness already in the background, and that's just from the introduction of these players, as now Galileo is having their players introduced onto the floor. It'll be the Galileo Lions, who will be in purple tops with white and purple striping going down the sides, white numbers both in the front and in the back, and above the numbers in the back, it reads Galileo in purple font with an orange background. They'll be wearing black shorts. As for the Lowell Cardinals, they'll be in white tops with black numbers along the front and back, black stripings going down from the neckline to the sides of the jerseys, and then also continuing the same pattern going from the neckline down to the back. They also will be wearing black shorts with the Lowell Cardinals. And I'm trying to see if there's anything above the number in the back, and there is not. And actually that black line doesn't plunge down the sides. It just goes right underneath the head there, just a straight horizontal line at the top of the back of the jersey. They have the A6 tops. So Lowell going through their introductions right now, and then I would guess that we would have the national anthem, and then this championship match will get underway. This to determine the 2013 San Francisco section champion in the sport of boys volleyball at the varsity level. So, folks, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back. You're listening to PlayOnSports.com's coverage of the San Francisco section boys volleyball championship here in the year of 2013. We'll be right back. All right, so we are about ready to get underway. No national anthem tonight, and it was pretty funny. There was a sign that had to be taken down. I'm not going to repeat what it was said on the sign, but already, and Steven talked about it last year, how hostile this crowd got at times, as Galileo felt like they were getting kind of razzled and screamed at during their serves, and already the commissioner of the San Francisco section, a good friend of ours, Don Collins, having to remove a sign that was posted due to its vulgarity or obscenity. I think it's quite funny, but you can't have that around kids and parents alike.
I don't know if I'd say hostile. I'd say overenthusiastic was a good way to describe it. But in a gym like this, where the sound really reverberates off the panels, it's a low gym. It gets loud in here, and both teams. It's the one sport where the players are so close to the court, so close to the fans, and they can hear every word, and it's it gets them fired up. But both teams really fired up after the pregame introductions. It should be another classic here, Michael.
All right, looking at the starters on the floor, we'll start with Galileo. They are going to lead with their starters. It's going to be up front with Sandon Tran, as well as David Pang, who will be starting in the lineup tonight, and also Nicholas Lowe. In the middle, you'll have Chris Lee. And in the back will be Kenny Lum. And for the Lowell Cardinals, we'll get you their starters in just a second, as it'll be Galileo to serve, and they get it across the net. And now it's Lowell setting up for an attack, and they get one right away. And getting the point there on the kill was Samuel Blumenfeld, the junior, the younger brother of the Blumenfeld brothers. And he gets Lowell on the board right away, 1-0. Serve back to the Galileo Lions, and once again, it's Lowell on the attack and dropping it in. This time off the deflection of a Galileo player. And so a quick 2-0 lead for the Lowell Cardinals.
Galileo backcourt looking a little out of sorts. A good effort by Darian Liu to try and keep that play alive, but a little bit of shell shock looked on the face of the Lions players here at the moment.
And check that. The first point was scored by Galileo. That's why they kept serve, and so it's 1-1. The scoreboard operator changing that. They had a 2-0 lead at first, and now it's Galileo on the defense. But talk about defense, and what a great block there by Lowell's number 7, Jacob Blumenfeld, the senior.
Yeah, Nathan Lau also rising high there in the front court for Lowell.
So continuing the serve will be Enders Ang. He's a setter, an outside hitter, the senior, with his team leading 2-1 early in the contest. And an unforced error there by Galileo's number 1, Calvin Lee, a freshman setter. And it's one thing that you might have to note. Will the Nerves get the best of the freshman here, playing in his first ever section championship? 3-1 is the lead for the Lowell Cardinals. A nice little dink over the net for Galileo. And now it's Lowell trying to mount an attack. Good volley right now as the ball being placed high. Now it's an attack point for Lowell, but a good dig out there by Galileo. They now control the ball, but it goes off the net. Another unforced error.
Yeah, it was on Kenny Lum, and Darian Liu, again, did a brilliant job of keeping that play alive, but a double hit on Lum, and it's a 4-1 lead now for Lowell here in game 1.
I'm sorry, actually that was Darian Liu moments ago who had the unforced error for Galileo. 4-1 the score in favor of the Lowell Cardinals. And Blumenfeld's shot goes wide left, and so the point will go to Galileo. So they will serve trailing 2-4, and a substitution is now made, as it will be David Pang, the starter, who was told to me by Coach Mark Hume that he was a little banged up. Yeah, he's testing that ankle right now.
Yeah, he certainly is.
Coming in to replace him was Daniel Chan. And so now it's Galileo with a fierce spike off of number 15, Chris Lee. But the spike went a little too deep, and so the point goes to Lowell, 5-2.
I was really impressed with Lee in the warm-ups. He looks very strong, gets good elevation off the ground, and certainly powerful, as you saw there, but just a little bit too long.
Chris Lee, senior outside hitter, just a little too long there. And so now the serve goes back to Lowell. It's Elliot Yu, a senior. And did Galileo get the kill? There's conversation going on with the referees, and they're going to say no. Galileo can't believe the call that was made on the floor.
Yeah, disbelief on the faces there of Nick Lowe. He's the guy that went cross-court there just a little bit outside. 6-2 lead now.
So you back to serve with this team up 4. 6-2 is the score. Running up and getting the kill for Galileo was number 15, Chris Lee. Redeems himself for his shot that went deep seconds ago, and now brings his team to, closes the deficit in half. It's now 3-6, and on the serve for Galileo was Darian Liu, the senior libero in the white jersey. Serve not received successfully by Lowell as they give up a point to Galileo. It's now 6-4.
Both teams in a little bit of disbelief here with the early calls, but still keeping this game honest.
Or should I say 4-6. Blumenfeld with the cross-court hit. And it goes out of bounds, and so now it's 5-6. Galileo closing this lead down to a point.
That's twice now Jacob Blumenfeld has gone cross-court, but he'll find his rage as this game continues on.
So right now the Lions having some success behind their libero serve, that being Darian Liu. And speaking of Liu, he takes one off his face as he went down to dig it and could not do so successfully. And so point goes to Lowell, serve goes to Lowell. 7-5 is your score.
Lee rising high at the net. It took a deflection off him as Blumenfeld drove that one home, and then Darian Liu knocked it out of bounds.
Nathan Lau with the one-handed tap over the net into Galileo territory, who got it back to Lowell. And now Lowell setting up for a kill, but good awareness and smarts there by Galileo's number 15, Chris Lee, to recognize that the ball was going to go out of bounds and to not even mess with it.
Yeah, Benny Lynn for Lowell got high, but you could tell he got a little bit underneath it as it went cross court. A nice job by Lee to let that one go.
Once again, a little tap from the serve, this time by Galileo's number 12, Nicholas Lowe, a senior.
One quick thing to point out while we have a second here. On the Lowell side of the court, there are ropes hanging low from the ceiling. It's actually a low ceiling here at this court, but especially on the left side of the viewer's screen, there are ropes hanging down. As we saw on one of the previous points, the ball took a deflection off the rope. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on as this game progresses.
Yeah, somewhat similar to the catwalk at Tropicana when, the Rays play a game. And that's the thing about volleyball. Everything is playable. Even if it touches off the roof, you got to be in position to handle the ball as it comes back on its way down. Timeout was taken by the Lowell head coach, Stephen Wesley, as we are now all tied up at 7 apiece.
Do you want to watch more of your school's great matchups like the game that you were enjoying here tonight? Then please tell your school to sign up for the Play On Sports School broadcast program. The program allows schools to broadcast all their games and other activities on the web. For more information, go to PlayOnSports/SPP. And if you go to the PlayOnSports/SPP page, you can see a list of the schools here in the state of California that have already signed up. So you should be sure to join those wonderful schools that have joined our program.
All right, thank you, Stephen. David Pang stretching out on that ankle right in front of us, testing it a little bit. He said both of his ankles are a little banged up. He is wearing those Nike Elite socks and the Nike shoes, the Kobe's, I believe. And underneath the socks, definitely some tape. A pretty good rally going on right now as we get back from the break between Lowell and Galileo. It's Blumenfeld with the spike, but a great dig out by Galileo, and the dig actually goes across the court. And now it's Lowell setting up for something nice, but a good block attempt. Ball still batted around, and it'll be Galileo that gets the point after a long rally there, Stephen.
Yeah, the heroes of that. Nicholas Lowe there in the backcourt making a great dig out, and then in the front court, Chris Lee once again, and Galileo coming out fired up. Their fans with the pom-poms already getting into this game.
Yeah, they have scored 3 unanswered points on Lowell here. They were down 7-5 at one point, and now it's 8-7, and they have the lead. And it's a libero for Lowell, that being Jason Leung, setting it up for the rest of his teammates. And some great sprawling and diving to keep the ball safe by Lowell. And then an over-the-back hit that nearly hits players of the Galileo bench as it goes out of bounds wide right. And so another point here for Galileo.
On back-to-back.
4 unanswered, 9-7 the score.
On back-to-back points now, they've sent it over on the first attempt, and that's left the Lowell defense scrambling, setting up Galileo.
And they're collecting all these points off the serve of Nicholas Lowe.
And this is just what Galileo wanted because, as we mentioned last year, with the serving errors, it took the wind out of their sails. But they're working well here in this first game.
Lowe with a very effortless-looking serve as he just kind of throws it up there and barely bats it with his hand, but it does go over each time. 10-7 the score. Lowell trying to get plays set up, but each time it seems like Galileo is in perfect position for it. And a rifle, once again, off the powerful hands of Chris Lee. And he has demonstrated a lot of power so far early in this first game.
Yeah, he has been mighty impressive. I know we talked a bit about Peng in the pregame, and he spent much of this first game on the sidelines. Chris Lee is certainly picking up the slack here at the moment.
Like I said, 6 unanswered points right now for the Galileo Lions, who lead 11-7 and still control serve. And they finally have a mishap off of their libero, Darian Liu. Went down to dig it out. They had a soft underhand tap that went wide right and out of bounds. So score now 7-11. Serve goes to Lowell. And getting the underhand throw and then running up and jumping serve is Jacob Blumenfeld, the senior. But a great dig out by their defensive specialist, that being Darren Kung. I'm sorry, Jason Leung.
Again, good awareness there in the backcourt. Daniel Chan lets that one go. But you got to like that jump serve from Jacob Blumenfeld there, rising high.
It's different looking.
It is, because it's a compact delivery, but it just goes over the top of the net, a little bit of spin, and it makes it tricky for the backcourt to send it back across.
Yeah, very deceptive if you're the Galileo players having to try to receive it. And this time, a dual block there for Lowell. And it was an illegal block, according to the side judge right there, calling it the one that's standing on the floor, as there are two side judges, one on a ladder up near the side of the fans, and then another one on our side, closer to the coach, the benches, and the scorekeepers just behind him.
It's going to be a guy to keep an eye on is Walter Cardillo, the junior middle blocker there for Lowell. He was the guy that got up on that previous point. Oh, nice tip.
A very deceptive dink. A no-look tip off the hands of number 8, Benny Lynn, senior outside hitter for Lowell. That might be the coolest point I've seen scored tonight. He just did it so Joe Cool, very incognito. And now he will go to the bench after collecting the point. Lowell's trying to cut into that deficit. Ball goes over the net to Galileo. And this time, a ferocious spike off the man who claims that both of his ankles are injured, but he looked good on that one, that being David. Did go to Galileo 15-9. Ball bouncing off the ceiling, but Galileo still in. The junior middle blocker.
Yeah, rising high that time. Lowell had no chance when the ball came off the ceiling. They had to send it over in 3. Lowell finishes it with style.
So now both teams with double-digit points as it's Lowell serving down 10-15. It was Leung who got it over the net on the serve and forced Galileo into an error. David Pang batted it up against the net.
Yeah, he's put in an awkward position there outside the antenna, and he was really trying to spin it sideways over the net, but no chance from that angle.
So now they'll continue with Leung to serve. Will the Lowell Cardinals. 11-15 now the score here in Game 1 of this championship match between the Lowell Cardinals and the Galileo Lions to determine the varsity boys volleyball champion in the San Francisco section. And Lowell collects another point.
And DeZing and Nathan Lau up front there, combining rising high and sending that one back. All of a sudden, Lowell have a little momentum here.
12 serving 15 as Leung gets it over. It's hit by the libero for Galileo, and now a hard tap off the hands of Nicholas Lowe. And I believe that one went far right. So another point now goes to the Lowell Cardinals, who just can keep continuing to hang around and stay tough. It's been a very back-and-forth game. They've had leads, and then it's gone back to Galileo, and now they're trying to make some momentum happen in their own right. 13-15 to score. And this time, a great wall of blockers as there were 3 guys up front for Lowell, with that being number 13, Enders Eng, number 16, Nathan Lau, and number 2, Samuel Blumenfeld, all rising up high to block the attempted kill there by Galileo. And so now it's 14-15.
Front court feeling it for Lowell right now, to be sure.
Speaking of that front court, they're trying to devise a way to get a kill over. Galileo in good position, but so is Lowell right now. Trying to go for another deceptive play. And this time it's Blumenfeld who kind of went up and gave it a soft tap when he was trying to get something hard. And he had that look on his face like, man, just missed it there.
Came back off the net for the double touch.
Galileo will get the point and will go up 16-14 as they serve it over to Lowell. Galileo very active with their hands on the serves that come their way, hands up high.
Boy, that point looked in there as Galileo went cross court. It seemed to catch the line, but the official said it went out of bounds. And that will give Lowell back the serve, and it's Andezing, serve from the near side.
So there's been moments so far tonight which would almost make players wish that they had instant replay in this game. They don't at the high school level. 15 serving 16. And then Galileo comes right back and gets a point to go up 17-15 and get the serve back.
We haven't mentioned the setting tonight, but Kenny Lum is having an outstanding first game here. His sets have been absolutely on point, giving Lee, Peng, and Nick Lowe a chance to get some points for Galileo.
Ryan Chu checking out. Peng also out right now on the bench.
Oh, could let that one go.
And right now, a great volley being put up between both teams. And a very excited number 7, that being Jacob Blumenfeld, who went up high, got the block, stuffing it back into Galileo's end. The ball hits the floor, and that gets the crowd going as Lowell closes the lead now to 1, and they'll have the serve. They're down 16-17 here in this first game. We know for sure that it's going to go 3 games. Has the possibility of probably going more with how evenly matched these two teams are and how hungry both these teams are of wanting to win the championship this season. Alternating champions in the sport of boys volleyball in the San Francisco section as Galileo took it in 2011 for their first ever section title. And then Lowell last year beating Galileo to claim their 7th section title in the sport of boys volleyball.
Great rally going on here for both sides.
And it's Lowell finding the empty space on the floor. Credit the point to Benny Lynn, the senior outside hitter, and we are all knotted up at 17 apiece here with Lowell continuing to serve off the hands of their senior outside hitter who is serving at the moment, that being Elliot Yu.
Lynn had some struggles in the early part of the game, but he's finding his range now as that took a deflection off Sandon Tran there for Galileo.
Yu hits it right to Tran, who got into the hands of his teammates, and they finish off the kill.
Nick Lowe heating back up now from that outside position, finding target in the back of the court.
And Sandon Tran receiving some love from his teammates after receiving that serve beautifully and giving his team a chance to collect a point and go back up on top. 18-17, nearly an ace there from Darian Liu, but a great dig out by Lowell. And so now a spike attempt and a kill attempt by Lee, and another great dig out by Lowell. And this time, Lowell, who had a series of great dig outs, could not continue the trend of great defense. There was a dig, but the ball went backwards instead of up.
Yeah,
no one could get to it.
Brian Lee was the player that dug that out for Lowell, but because he did such a fine job, it put the Lowell defense out of sorts, and that allowed Galileo to get the points. And Andezing wanted a roofing call there on Galileo, didn't get it. Galileo now just slightly have the nose in front here, up 19-17 here in game 1.
19-17, it's the side judge closest to us who called the timeout. It wasn't a timeout for either teams, but it will give the chance for either team, for both teams to kind of talk things out. One thing that was worth noting that I was asking Coach Hyun for Galileo about his team and what it's going to take to win tonight, and he said, the main thing he's been preaching this year is he wants his team to get to a point where he really doesn't have to say much. He wants them to be able to kind of coach themselves throughout the process of a match or in these games. And he says these guys know what they need to do, and they're smart guys. And he wants a little bit of the stress taken off himself, I guess. So we're back from the break, things getting resolved. Score still 19-17 in favor of the Galileo Lions. Ball now on the side of the Lowell Cardinals, who try to get a kill. But there's great defense, great positioning by the Galileo Lions, who finally get it back to Lowell's side of the court. And now it's Lowell looking for a kill, and they get it! It's Nathan Lowell finishing things off for the Lowell Cardinals, right in front of Darian Liu, the libero, who has had some trouble tonight receiving some of the kills that have gone his way, or kill attempts that have gone his way. And so 18-19 to serve there, and serve gone deep.
Well, Lau made a brilliant play there to get the point for Lowell, and then, well, that's about the poorest serve we've seen in this game so far. Very few serving errors, but that's certainly the biggest one in the game so far.
Yeah, Nathan Lau not too pleased with his serve. That went wide, got the point to Galileo, and he will take a bench now, or take a seat on the bench. Galileo needing to hit it over, and they do. And now a tap up for Blumenfeld, who gets it over. And now it's Galileo trying to set up an offensive play. Ball looking like it was nearly dug out there by Jason Leung, but they're going to say that the ball hit the floor. Point goes to the Galileo Lions, who retain serve and are now up 3, 21-18. They have the advantage. And a timeout once again taken on the floor. And I believe it's Steve Wesley, the coach of the Lowell Cardinals, who will take the second timeout.
Anytime Galileo able to get this sequence of Darian Liu to Kenny Lum to Chris Lee to finish the point, Galileo, I think, are going to have success tonight, because the passing play has been absolutely perfect tonight so far between those three guys. To be honest, I think Galileo looked a more organized team out there on the floor right now. They seem to be able to scramble around and have each other's backs. They seem like Lowell's a little bit out of sorts at the moment. But then again, Galileo took the first game last year. Lowell came roaring back to take the next three. So this is definitely a game that each team has to take a point at a time.
Yeah, it has been a very interesting match. We've seen some good rallies. We've also seen some calls that both teams have felt could have gone either way. We've seen some great kills, some great defense.
And definitely, if there was any doubt how much these two teams want to win this game, it's evident in the celebrations after the point, because these guys are fired up already. We're not even done with game
Yeah, you
one
can't
yet.
even tell who really has the home court advantage in favor of fans, because it's been the same kind of loudness for either point scored, whether it be Galileo or Lowell. It will be Galileo on the serve as we get back from the break. Nicholas Lowe serving. Remember, it was Nicholas Lowe in which Galileo scored 6 unanswered points earlier in this game to take momentum back. They were down by 5, and they stormed back to take the lead. This time, Lowell collects the point off the serve from Lowe, and so now Lowell will serve themselves down by 2. It's 19-21 with Blumenfeld, that being the older brother Blumenfeld, Jacob on the serve. And this time it's Cardillo, the middle blocker, mostly known for his defense, getting up and finishing with high fashion there. It'll draw a timeout from Galileo. 20-21 is the score as Lowell closes the gap to 1 point.
I think it changes the dynamic of this game anytime Cardillo's out on the court, because he's got back-to-back points now for Lowell. And I think that's what made Coach Hume call the timeout here, because they haven't had an answer for him when he's in that front court position there, right in the middle of the court. And when he can get high, he has that height advantage. He's certainly putting the points away.
Yeah, he has been. Cardillo, who is a 3-year varsity starter, looking to be a 4th-year varsity starter next year, as he is only a junior.
So far, the quality of this game so far, very high standard.
And great effort there by Galileo, racing out of bounds to save that one was Kenny Lum.
And the zing. Saw that Lum was out of position because he had to go off the far side of the court to retain the ball. Open spot right in the middle there. And the zing does not need a second invitation from that spot on the court.
Ender Zeng ties this match up, or this game up at 21 apiece. This is the first game of this match. Blumenfeld on the serve. Block attempt there by Lowell, and they do a good job as the deflection goes right to Blumenfeld, and now the ball back on Galileo's side of things. They set up once again for their guy Chris Lee to try to get the kill, but once again, great positioning and defense by the Lowell Cardinals. Good dig out there by Galileo, and they will set up again for a kill attempt, but it's Blumenfeld from the back digging it out, and now we're seeing a really good volley being played by both teams. Little baby tap there by Lee, no good. He decided to go for the soft baby tap instead of the power, and now Lee goes back to the power and gets the kill off the hands of Walter Cardillo, the junior middle blocker. 22-21, Galileo back out in front.
Galileo didn't panic on that point. You saw how organized they were with Darian Liu moving up into the front court where needed. That time they were able to draw Anderson and Cardillo out of position, and Lee just too much power from that spot.
And Lee, who showed off all that power up front, now having to go back to serve. And off of Lee's serve, they get a point.
Benny Lin there knocking that straight into the net. Not really under a lot of pressure that time from the near side of the court, but now Galileo just 2 points away from taking game number 1.
Chris Lee in teal-colored shoes. They don't even match the color of his team, but they're pretty cool-looking shoes. Of course, they're Nike out there. 23-21, Galileo with the lead. And once again, Lowell not going down without a fight as they have been digging out great balls. A facial there, but Blumenfeld receives it with honor. And this time, a block attempt by Cardillo sails wide right out of bounds. 24-21, and now Galileo's looking for game point. It'll be the serve by Chris Lee for the Lions. Lee goes up with it onto the side of Lowell, who sets up Cardillo with the fake, and it was jumped up and hit at by Benny Lin. And now it's Cardillo killing it, lacing it just past Nicholas Lowe to keep his Lowell Cardinals alive here in game 1.
Boy, didn't they need that point there, and good effort by Jason Leong that time. Not panicking and setting that up. A much-needed point for the Cardinals.
Chris Lee, who has worked so hard in these last couple of minutes here for Galileo, going to the bench, and then that'll draw a timeout from Galileo. Their head coach is Mark Hune, assistant coach Anthony Lamb, principal Marcus Blackshear, athletic director Ethan Winterling.
Play On Sports is on Facebook and Twitter, giving you news and information as well as links to great highlights. Follow us at Play On Sports on both Facebook and Twitter. You can also access thousands of live and on-demand games on YouTube at youtube.com/PlayOnNetwork. Keep up with all the high school action every week. Your destination for high school sports, PlayOnSports.com.
Play On Sports does not show any kind of bias when it comes to sports. They cover it all. Next week, I'll be filming for the first time. I'll be filming some CCS Championship golf out in Carmel, Rancho Canada Golf Course. Very excited for that. So Galileo looking for the game point, and it's going to have to wait as Cardillo goes up for the block and gets it. 23-24. Lowell just down by one single point.
And Zing that time combining with Cardillo. They're like a wall there when they jump up high. No chance in that point for Galileo.
Mitchell Zito on the serve for the Cardinals. And it's Pang who finishes off the Cardinals. And why not? Pang, who has been the star of the past couple of years for Galileo. And so it'll be 25-23, the final score in game 1 between the Cardinals and the Lions. They will switch sides and then get ready for game 2. Very similar to last year when Galileo took the first of what would be a 4-game match.
Taking the first game 25-22 last year. And
just a 1 point difference.
Yeah, and it's interesting in that first game, especially we talked about in the pregame with Coach Wesley for Lowell, saying how his guys need to trust each other. I think in that first game, the Galileo players seemed to trust themselves just that little bit more, and we alluded to it a little bit as well. They were certainly more organized, and they definitely took advantage of the opportunities that they had. It was a close game, like very little to choose between the two teams so far, but based on that first game performance, if Galileo could keep that up. they could be taking the title here tonight. Still, obviously, a very long way to go yet.
Yeah, no, your analysis is spot on, Steven. I mean, if I was almost about to say the exact same thing. It seems as if Galileo is just better positioned on the floor, kind of more, I guess, ready for what's going to come their way. They've done a better job at receiving hard spikes and serves that have come their way. They've had their hands up in their face, which is good because that's mostly where the ball's going to be when it comes down from a server spike. And so it gets that good deflection off for someone to still be able to do something with it from their team. And it's interesting because I saw Lowell go through a pretty cool drill before the game in which Wesley was the main man, kind of giving them different looks, giving them a soft baby tapper, going hard. And I thought that was a really good drill in order to kind of help the Cardinals out with being better positioned for whatever to come their way. But it looks as if Galileo has been the better positioned team, has played better defense. And yes, you're right. It seems as if Galileo has worked more as a team, where Lowell still trying to get things done with just kind of their stars. They're relying on Cardio a lot. They're relying on Blumenfeld and Eng. And I wonder if some other guys are going to start stepping up for Lowell. We've seen Jason Leung play hard as the defensive specialist. Now it's time to see Mitchell Zito get in there as a junior. He's also a defensive specialist. Maybe Benny Lynn is a senior. Elliott Yu, who has had a tough go-around on his serves, hasn't been able to get a lot of points generated on his serves. So we'll see what happens here in Game 2. But it is Galileo taking the early lead after Game 1, as it is the Lions who win the first game by a score of 25-23.
We certainly haven't given enough credit to Darian Liu and Kenny Lum, both seniors of the libero. Darian Liu, our number one. Kenny Lum, the senior setter. Both those guys have done this for a long time, and they've played absolutely on point here so far tonight. And to be honest, they had a big hand in that game. We talked about Lee and David Peng finishing points, Nicholas Lowe as well, but those guys were rock solid in Game 1. If they keep it up, well, Galileo will be in a great position here.
So Lowell this time will start with the serve, going east to west here on the court. And it's Galileo with the soft baby tap off the hands of number 21, that being David Peng.
It gives you an idea that Lowell had 5 guys in the front court, that Jason Leong had to come forward to try and dig that out. There's no one in the back court there to support him, and that's an easy point for Galileo.
Peng, who's been walking around gingerly with both of his ankles being damaged, both of them taped up, but he has come through on occasion tonight with some good deception and good points scored. And this time it's Lowell who comes back to get a point of their own, evening it up at 1 apiece.
Yeah, it was pretty funny when he came over here and showed us the tape on his ankles. But
yeah, like here, this is the proof.
Yeah, but got to put it out of your mind, especially on the big stage, But so far, it seems to be paying off. Have some Tylenol on deck for him tomorrow morning, I feel, Michael.
There you go. Well, Lowell will get back to retaining the serve, and it's number 22 who's doing a little head nod before he gets the serve going, Elliott Yu. I noticed he was the one that was really jamming out to some music before the game started when he was in his warm-up sweats. I don't know what he was listening to. I never got around to asking him that. I felt he was pretty involved in his music, and I should just let him do his thing. But he was definitely in a rhythm. The way he was dancing, I would think it was probably like some kind of dubstep or something. 2-1 now the score in favor of Lowell, as Galileo receiving the serve and hitting it deep.
Yeah, Chris Lee knocking that one about 6 feet out of bounds.
And so Yu gets it over to Galileo, right side of the court. Block attempt there by Lowell, but Galileo was in perfect position for it. Another block attempt this time by Lowell, and the ball squirts out of bounds.
Yeah, it was Jacob Blumenfeld and Nathan Lau that time. Rising high, right on point, but the ball went straight down underneath the net for another Galileo point.
We're tied up at 2 points apiece, and it'll be Galileo this time serving the ball.
Daniel Chan to serve, the sophomore.
Chan, nice touch that goes across the net. And now it's back to Galileo, who tries to play it off the net. And a very awkward and tough position was Galileo. Kenny Lum trying to do all he could with that, but there wasn't much that he could do. Talked about how he had to spin the ball around the antenna there, could not do so. He actually put it through the little net just at the end of the net, or the little hole in the end of the net. So now it's 3-2 in favor of Lowell. And coming back and responding with a ferocious point to get the Lions back the serve and the tie was Nicholas Lowe, and now we're all up at 3.
Well, Kenny Lum is so deceptive with that set. You can't tell when he's going up. Is he sending it backwards? He's sending it forward. That time he sent it backwards or backdoor to Nick Lowe, and he doesn't need a second invitation to finish that cross court.
A near block there by Galileo. And now it's Cardillo who deflects it for his teammates. Lowell on the attack.
Huh.
And what a great sprawling effort there by Galileo to keep this rally going.
I can't believe they didn't let that go.
And an over the back shot to get it across the court, and
Brilliant.
It's still going off the net. They got to tap it over now, and they do. And this rally, the best we've seen all day between both teams, and it's still going over. Oh my goodness, what are we seeing here?
They just let it go. I can't believe it.
And finally, a point scored by Lowell.
That ball, Kenny Lum there, sensational effort, because twice that came back off the ropes, and he had to make adjustments to keep that point alive. And then Lowell sent it over, and they just found that open spot in the court, and no one could do anything about it. What a shame. Great point, though, all the same for Lowell.
It was Walter Cardillo scoring 4-3 in favor of the Lowell Cardinals after the best rally we've seen all day between both schools. And another point scored by Lowell.
Was Brian Lee getting in on the action there for Lowell.
Darian Liu, who is really getting down on the floor here in this second set, has made some great plays as the libero trying to keep the ball alive for Galileo.
Oh, great serve by Blumenfeld.
5-3 now the score in favor of Lowell, and another block by Cardillo. And he is fired up. 6-3 as Lowell doubles their lead and will continue to serve off the hands of Jacob Blumenfeld.
He certainly got the best serve of anyone on the court. A jump serve, very low trajectory over the net. A lot of power, and that time just a little bit too much. That goes long, and he'll be disappointed with that.
Blumenfeld in the cardinal red and black Nike shoes. Now those ones are actually the team's colors. 6-4 to score after Blumenfeld's serve went long. And then Galileo forcing Lowell into an error there as the ball went up against the net and fell onto the floor. 6-5 the score.
Kenny Lum pretty pleased with himself there to get the point with the block.
And this time another block by Galileo. This time it's Joey Winterstein, the freshman, celebrating after he got up there for the block and tying this game now at 6 points apiece. And they're setting up for something nice, and they got it.
What a brilliant serve by Lum. Absolutely pinpoint precision there to set it right on the hands of Chris Lee, and he's warming up all game long, going cross-court there for the winner.
Chris Lee with a beautiful cross-court shot to get the kill, and now it's 7-6. Galileo still serving off of Nicholas Lowe, and they will receive another point.
And how about that? Chris Lee, we've seen the play from Anders Ing tonight, trying to catch him out of that quick send across the net, and Chris Lee was all over that one, back-to-back points, and you could just tell how pumped up Galileo are. Look at the body language between these two teams as they come over for the timeout.
Well, I think it's something to be said about Nicholas Lowe, as Galileo has generated multiple points off of his serve so far tonight, not only here in Game 2, but also in Game 1 when they really made that run as Lowell stormed out to a big lead in Game 1, and then it was on the serve of Nicholas Lowe in which Galileo started to mount that comeback, gain some momentum.
Yeah, I think they were down 5-3 in this game, and they've come back to take an 8-6 lead, and you're absolutely right, Michael. I mean, his his serve is not as powerful,
not as
perhaps.
flashy
as Blumenfeld's perhaps, but it's effective.
It's getting the job done.
And you could tell, like, as the Cardinals come back out on the court, that there's some looks of concern here as Galileo roared back here on a 5-3 run at the moment, and more importantly, holding serve.
So we're back from the break as it was Stephen Wesley, the coach for Lowell, who urged his team to take a timeout and collect themselves. 8-6 to score. Galileo has stormed back to take the lead. And another hit gone bad for Lowell. This time it's Brian Lee.
Unforced error there to be sure, and Lee not under a whole lot of pressure, the chance to pick his spot.
He looked over at assistant coach Jackie Sue and said, I know, that was my bad. I'll make up for it. 9-6 now the score for Galileo. It's still Nicholas Lowe on the serve. Received well by Jason Leung. And then a block there by number 4, that being Kenny Lum, the senior setter.
4 hits on Lowell there, excuse me. And they're going to be substitution here. Calvin Lee's going to come on for the Cardinals. And
Calvin Lee will replace Jacob Blumenfeld.
Yeah, Blumenfeld's going to take a seat here in the rotation.
Blumenfeld, who has a black and pink tape job on his right elbow. A little bit of wrap there. Maybe he's had some tenderness there over the week. And they're going to call a going into the net violation against Lowell's number 13, that being Enders Eng. And so it'll be 10-6. Should be, yes, there we go, 11-6. And
Boy.
Still on the serve of Nicholas Lowe are the Galileo Lions. Points aplenty off the serve of Nicholas Lowe. And now it's Galileo. Out. Yeah, a great dig out there by Darian Liu. And this time it's off the hands of Lee, who tried to block it.
And that's going to be a lift on Chris Lee. What a sensational dig out there by Darian Liu, sprawling on the court to attempt to keep that point alive for Galileo. Coach Hune not pleased. And the Galileo players are pleading their case now with the up official because they felt that Lee just made contact. They didn't think he was lifting the ball there. I think he was just trying to keep it alive with the way the ball was sent across to him.
Yeah, it's Kenny Lum right now who's asking for clarification from the side judge who's perched atop the ladder. Kenny Hune still looking for somewhat of a clarification on that call as well. And now it is Kenny Lum going over to his coach and telling him what the judge told him. And Coach Hune beside himself as he will finally take a seat back on the bench. The serve went back to Lowell, who now trails 11-7, but a great little soft tap there by Chris Lee to get the point. And Lowell was not expecting that. I think they were expecting the power from Lee, and he just went up with something soft.
Well, that's the thing. When you're not expecting how Lummen's going to set the ball for you, any possible combination that could happen. And that time, you're right. Lowell were expecting the power from Lee, and that time, the most delicate of touches to put it over for a point.
12-7 now to score. Galileo out in front, and it's Lee who scored the point, going back to serve. And another great save there by Darian Liu, one-handed with his front forearm. And then it's Samuel Blumenfeld, the younger of the Blumenfeld brothers, who gave that ball a little bit too much mustard to the right side. 13-7, an unforced error there.
Yeah, he struggled going cross court so far today as the younger Blumenfeld, for sure.
Daniel Chen, who was on the floor and took a breather for Galileo before the last serve. And another devastating kill from Galileo. This time it was David Pang, the man with banged up ankles. And now Galileo has doubled their lead, 14-7. And it's still Chris Lee on the serve.
We haven't had to call Pang's name much so far today, but because his teammates have played so well. Lum, another perfect serve.
And a block this time. That was saved. I thought it hit the floor.
Unlucky. That's a tremendous effort, though, by Jason Leung to try and keep that point alive.
Yeah, Leung had to hit it across the court.
Yeah.
That was the third hit, and he did so. He got it across the net, but it went wide right and into the fans.
And it went through the railings up on top, too. So unlucky, but a good effort all the same there by Leung. But this game is getting away from Lowell right now, down by 8.
15-7, and just imagine this game at one point in time was 5-3 in favor of Lowell here in this second game. And instead, it has been a 12-2 run by Galileo. And finally, their run of consecutive points comes to an end as they didn't get good positioning on the ball there.
And again, it was another tremendous dig out by Darian Liu, diving to the court, but the angle too tight to try and keep that inside the antenna. And Lowell are on serve now, and for the first time, this is a crucial serve in this game. They expect the best one here from Jason Leon.
Leung in the special cardinal red jersey with white numbers for the defensive specialist position, serving the ball with his team down 7. It's 15-8 the score in favor of the Galileo Lions. And a near kill there from Lowell, but great defense being played by Galileo. And now they have to hit it over on this one. Is it going to be too many touches? I guess they still had a touch to go, as the ref's not calling too many touches. But like I say, Galileo just in perfect position for everything that's coming their way. And they need to get it over the court now, and they do not.
That's 4 touches.
That is 4 touches, as it was Ryan Chu who tried to get it over with a low hit. It did not go over. And so 15-9 now the score, and that will get the head coach for Galileo, that being Mark Hyun, to call a timeout on the floor.
Play On Sports will have live coverage of the Trans-Bay Baseball Championship starting on Tuesday, May 14th at 4 p.m. You can catch all the action of the best 2 out of 3 series in both baseball and softball right here on PlayOnSports.com. Don't forget to check the Play On Sports broadcast schedule page for information on all of our upcoming broadcasts from around the San Francisco section and beyond. The spring championships are here only on PlayOnSports.com. Certainly if you're a Lowell Cardinal fan, with the Cardinals taking a 7-0 victory over Washington back on Tuesday at AT&T Park for their 18th championship. Still doesn't matter. Lowell have a pretty bright future, I'd say, in most of the sports that they compete in. So,
well, I was talking with Don Collins before the game and how Lowell might have the best season. I know, in college they do that Capital One Cup where they, do a point system to see which college had the best overall athletic season. And I would say from what I've seen in the events I've covered, it seems like Lowell's been in the mix in every one of them. So they've had a pretty good athletic season,
I'd say. Oh, that came off the ropes. Unlucky there for David Pang, because he was rising high to make the adjustment. The ball just came right down off the ropes above. And that will give Lowell back the ball, so the bounces go in favor of the Cardinals, at least on that point.
Well, it would be interesting if Lowell does come back to win this game. I think there might be some controversy started over whoever has to play on that side with the nets dropping down. That becoming a factor.
Well, that's just how the cookie crumbles, though, unfortunately, because it's something that both teams have to deal with here. The point there is the ball was knocked out of play onto the near side of the court. There's an overhang over the volleyball court here. Unplayable there, unfortunately, so it's back to Galileo's serve.
16 serving 10.
They had to go run 3 touches there.
And a player cannot double touch the ball here. He can't touch the ball consecutively. Another player would have to touch it before he can touch it again, as that was the violation there. It was Galileo's number 3. That being Sandon Tran, touching it 2 times too many. And so now it's 11 serving 16. Lowell down by 5. Great wall there by Lowell to block it, but Galileo still in position to play off of it. And now it's Galileo setting up something offensively. It hits the net, and Lowell doing a good job of playing off of it. And now a set from Pang. Back to his player, and now another great volley we're seeing here. Soft tap, great dig out there by the libero for Galileo, that being Darian Liu. And finally, a block there by Nathan Lau of Lowell gives his Cardinals the point, and they trail now only by 4 points, 12-16. It'll be Enders Ang with the serve.
Needs another good serve here.
Enders Ang with 2 knee braces, a black one on his left leg and a white one on his right leg. And racing over to the middle of the floor to save that was Jason Leung for the Lowell Cardinals. Overhand tap trying to get it over to players for Galileo was Pang, Another great dig out, sprawling Darian Liu. And once again, we're seeing a great volley here in this game, too. And an overhand hit that was saved. And then they're going to say, what was the violation there?
A double hit on Kenny Lum, but boy, I don't know. It looked like he got that clear.
I thought he got it cleared as well.
Some great rallies here on the last few points, but more importantly, Lowell have shown some fighting spirit here to stay in this game.
They trailed at one point in time by 6 points in this set. Now they only trail by 3. It's 16-13.
Blumenfeld just too strong there. Nice job by Ryan Shue to let that go for Galileo. The Lions back on serve. Kenny Lum with the duties here. But credit to Lowell, battle back into this game.
It'll be Kenny Lum on the serve for Galileo with his team up by 4 points, 17-13. Blumenfeld with the kill attempt there. Great blocking effort, or great saving effort there by Darian Liu, the libero for Galileo. And then it's Liu who is the recipient of a really hard hit by the Lowell Cardinals. He got down to his knees and could not keep it away from hitting the floor. And so the point goes to the Lowell Cardinals, 14-17. Cardinals trying to storm back and make this a very interesting finish for game 2. It's the Galileo Lions who took game 1 by a score of 25-23. And Lowell, despite some great full-on dives by the Cardinals, they cannot keep it around to finally get it over the net. Instead, it almost goes into the lap of the ladies who are sitting on the bench. Maybe they are some help that might be a part of the girls volleyball team here.
Good block up front.
Lowell, 18-14 to score. Going off the net was Lowell that time. Racing over was Leung to try to save it. Good ball put up by the Galileo Lions.
And it's a lift there on Leung, I believe. And that's going to give Galileo back the point. On the previous point, though, Peng's serve just too strong, and Leung is having to play up front to help support the front court, leaving that back court unmanned a little bit.
Yeah, Leung has really had to work hard here for Lowell today.
He has indeed.
Seen him racing around like a jackrabbit all match.
Brilliant finish. Chris Lee. Again, another perfect serve by Kenny Lum.
And once again, that should be the area where Leung should be at all times, right there in the middle of the back. And no one was there. No man's land as Lung has been having to play to his left, then go to his right.
It's hit so powerfully, it would have been hard for anybody to deal with, though, to be honest.
20 serving 14. Blumenfeld with the powerful hit of his own right, but Galileo doing a good job of being in perfect position to handle it. And now it's Lee. Make that Lowell's number 6, Brian Lee, the man with the glasses, getting the kill.
That's a good way to come back for Lee. He's had some struggles in this game, but that's a nice point there to give Lowell the serve. Down by 5 here in game number 2.
15 serving 20 as it'll be Nathan Lau now to serve for Lowell. Just a very easygoing one-handed touch that goes across the court.
Oh. And you got to like the trickery there by Galileo in the front court. Lum serves, and Lowell weren't sure if it was going to be Sandon Tran or Chris Lee going up to put that home.
Well, Nathan Lau, who had to race up from where he was when he served the ball to try to come right near us by the coaches on the left side, and the ball ultimately deflected off his forearms and then went to the floor to give the point to Galileo. 21-16 was the score. Cardillo coming back with a shot that went off the net and trickled onto the floor on the Galileo side. So now a point goes back to Lowell. The serve goes back to Lowell. They trail by 5. It's 16 serving 21 with the older of the Blumenfeld brothers, that being Jacob, getting ready to serve. And now we'll get a chance to look at that very unique yet powerful serve. And Blumenfeld with a serving error.
That's 2.
As he hits it up against his own net.
That's 2 in this game. We saw him hit one long earlier in the game, now 1 into the net. And that's a real shame there.
And look who's on the serve for Galileo, the man who's probably given his team the most points off serve, that being Nicholas Lowe, with his team already up 22-16, and they will...
Unlucky
I
that...
thought they were going to collect a point there.
I did too. Lum rising high to tip that one back, but just out of bounds here on the near side. And that's a sigh of relief there for you, Lowell, because it takes the ball out of the hands of Nick Lowe.
Yeah. And now you're hearing a very loud "Let's go Lowell" chant as their team is down 5, 17-22. Great cross-handed or cross-court hit.
And the zing
by the libero, that being Darian Liu, but Lowell was prepared, and they put it on over for their own point.
A pump of the fist there by Andy Zing because he saw that open gap in the front court there to get the point.
And now it's Blumenfeld talking with Leung about where he should be position-wise. And that "Let's go Lowell" chant growing louder and louder as they have closed this gap to within 4. 18 serving 22. A set, tap, and kill attempt there.
Outside.
But they're going to say that Lee was out of bounds when he attempted to hit the ball.
And there was a little bit of change there because Nick Lowe had to set because Kenny Lum's now the outside hitter on the far side of the court. So Galileo just a little bit out of sorts here, and they're letting Lowell get back into the game.
19 serving 22, and like I said, that "Let's go Lowell" chant growing louder, and finally Galileo puts an end to that. And their fans are rowdy and waving their pom-pom flags. It's now 23 serving 19.
See, there was a change. They had Lum back to set. Setting up cross court for Chris Lee.
And we've seen multiple different looks here from Galileo.
Indeed.
It was Chris Lee on the serve. And now it's Leung with a bad set there.
Yeah, that's unlucky. He was trying to go back door there to set up Samuel Blumenfeld. It was outside the antenna. There's no choice there but to send it over in 4. And that's giving game point once again to the Lions here, 24-19, Michael.
Can Galileo close it out and take a 2-0 advantage here in this match for the championship? In the sport of boys volleyball in the San Francisco section, it's going to have to be delayed just a little bit longer as the younger brother of the Blumenfelds, that being Samuel, comes up with the kill and the point. Samuel Blumenfeld, who like his brother, has pieces of his body taped up. It's his right hand that has red and white tape, and now I'm starting to wonder if it's a fashion statement or if these boys really need some wrap there if they're hurt.
It's been a long season.
20 serving 24. Galileo.
Oh, that was going out of bounds.
Yeah, had Lowell let that go, they would have collected a point. And coming back for the block, and the final point of this second game was number 21, David Peng, the man who continues to play through injury, and now his team is one game away from winning the 2013 championship.
Yeah, again, they could have just let that go. I think that was certainly going out of bounds, and Blumenfeld didn't get the best contact on it, send it right into the net. And Galileo right now are feeling themselves, to be sure, up 2-0. They've got that monkey off their back. Last year they were down, at this point it was 1-1. It was a 29-27 game, I believe, in the second one, a heartbreaker to be sure. But Galileo really weren't under any serious threat in that game, and they were able to pull away at the end. And now the prize is most certainly in sight. The crowd have been really into it all game long, and they're certainly rallying the fans now. Some serious chanting going on between the two sets of fans, and it's loud in here right now, Michael.
Yes, it is. 25-20 was the final score in Game 2. And like I said, Galileo now taking the first 2 games is just one game away from claiming their second ever school section title in the sport of boys volleyball. They took their first 2 years ago, back in 2011. And they have come up now out of the depths and have risen to the top as they have now, this marks their 3rd straight section title appearance.
Well, some crazy back and forth here between the fans. And the Lions are loving this. I mean, their fans have been into it since the first point of this game, and it's taken the Lowell cheering section a little while to get into this game, but they're going to need all the support of their fans here in Game 3 because they've got quite a mountain to climb here, Michael, down 2-0. And the Lions just 25 points away, as you say, from their second championship.
And just a tale of two teams. You look at the big smile right now on Coach Yun's face. He's trying to stay reserved, trying to stay calm, but he knows that his team is just one game away. If they can keep playing the way they're playing, they will be titleless. And you also have to love Pang, who still has that grimace on his face as if he's in a lot of pain. But yet when time has come to time and clutch has come to clutch, it's been David Pang who has been that guy so far, getting the points when his team most well needs it and deserves it. And he's a big reason for why his team is up 2-0 here. But
you've also got to credit, as we mentioned after the end of game one, Darian Lewin and Kenny Lum as well. Darian Lewin in particular sprawling all over the court in that second game, keeping points alive, keeping the Lions in the game. And it's been the formula that they've used so far, and they need to continue with it here.
The Galileo Lions showing appreciation by clapping it up while they were on timeout as they were full-on facing their fans. Meanwhile, Lowell, they didn't get too happy, at least they didn't clap it up for their fans that were chanting them on. They're all business right now.
Yeah.
As they're dialed into what their head coach, Steve Wesley, has to say to them. Wesley, who's trying to let them know that they are on the brink and they're going to have to play with their backs against the wall for the remainder of this match.
I mean, you've done enough games at this level to know how crucial body language is, especially at this stage of the game when the looks on the faces of the Lowell players now. It's serious business time here, gentlemen. Down 2-0. Meanwhile, at least if you're Galileo, you can afford to relax just that little bit and enjoy the game.
Yeah, they're not going to get any chances, are Lowell.
And now it's interesting that the teams have switched sides of the court once again, so they've got their sets of fans on each side. So it's going to get loud in here in Game 3, Michael, to be sure.
Well, at least one thing you can say, you can't blame it on the Nets. Remember, I talked about it. If Lowell were to go on to win, maybe there would be some beef over playing on that side, but Galileo sure found a way to win with that distraction. And now they're going to try to win this match, maybe with the help of their fans, maybe from the inspired play by Peng. You look at the inspired play that we've seen from the senior Darian Liu at the libero, who he has a special jersey. He has the white jersey with the black numbers and Galileo in purple font across the top of the numbers on the back. And Winterstein, a junior, rousing his teammates as he goes to the bench.
It's been a team effort, though, from the Lions so far.
And Galileo, who has the lead, starts with the serve here in Game 3. And a very inspired Jacob Blumenfeld gets things started on a good note for the Lowell Cardinals, as if to say, don't count us out yet.
Well, this is a guy you've got to get going here on the serve to be sure. They've got to get some points here off his serve. And he had some struggles, a couple of errors back in that second game.
And he will also race back to now serve the ball for his Lowell Cardinals after getting them the point to go up 1-0. Blumenfeld, who we know is going to be playing at the highest level or playing at a higher level. That level we do not know where the destination is, as Coach Stephen Wesley really didn't want me knowing until his team wins, I guess, was the best reason for why he did not let me know the destination of where he will be playing. But both him and Enders Ang will be playing college ball.
Pang does well. They're going cross-court for the point, but they were able to deal with Blumenfeld's serve. Now they're back on serve. This game's tied up at 1.
1-1 the score, and
a rare mix-up there in communication for Galileo. Very, as we mentioned, very rare to see that today. Daniel Chan, Darian Liu.
I don't know if Liu thought maybe it was close to being out of bounds, and he was letting it go, hoping that it was going to go past the line. But the end result is that it did stay in the court of play, and so it gave the point to the Lowell Lions, or the Lowell Cardinals, who lead 2-1. And now a point goes back to the Galileo Lions, so now it's even at 2. And Winterstein will check back on the floor, replacing Sandon Tran.
And these role players, too, have played a big part today as well for the Galileo. Daniel Chan, Winterstein, as you mentioned, and Sandon Tran.
And Darian Liu with an ace on the serve, and that gets his fans and his teammates on the bench fired up.
The first ace of the day, and it couldn't come at a better time if you're Galileo right now. Can he follow it up with another?
Liu looking for back-to-back aces. He won't have it as Blumenfeld dug it out. And then it was Cardillo who came up, finding no man's land in the Galileo territory. And so once again, it's a back-and-forth pace here to start this Game 3. And we're all tied up at 3. It's 3-3 with Lowell now having to serve. It'll be Jason Leung to serve for the Cardinals.
This is the front court I like here for Lowell, Lowell, Blumenfeld, and Lee.
And racing up on the right outside to try to put on a good kill there for Galileo was Nick Lowe.
Oh, off the top of the net. Oh, nicely done. And to Zing.
And Enders Eng showing his senior leadership and 4-year varsity experience there with just a very soft tap to the right side of the court where no one was to get the point and retain serve. 4 serving 3. It's the Lowell Cardinals out front. And a wide left hit from Chris Lee, and he knew it.
Yeah.
He started tapping his chest right away saying, my bad, guys. And now his team trails by 2. It's 5-3 to score. Once again, Leung on the serve for Lowell. And it's David Pang trying to inspire his team from the bench for Galileo. And an incognito tap over the net by Kenny Lum from Galileo.
I think Blumenfeld just had one of those, just an off day, really. Again, they good set that time. Trying to go cross court, standing about 6 feet out of bounds.
I think he's just had a really tough time trying to use his power in the right ways.
And that's a rare serving mistake that time from Nick Lowe. He sends that one into the net, so now Anders Zing will serve for Lowell.
And his team up 6-4. Talking about the Lowell Cardinals, who will need to win every game from here on out in order to come away with their 8th section title in the sport of volleyball. And they're really just getting help now at this point as Galileo committing errors on their own. This time it's Darian Liu racing up from the libero position with a big hit that sails way deep.
Almost out into the lobby there.
Yeah. 7-4 now the score in favor of the Lowell Cardinals.
And Zing back on serve then for the Cardinals.
Ing, who gets a little jump start. And then a one-handed tap. And Winterstein, who tried to be deceptive and find no man's land, but Lowell, smarter than your average bear, coming through with some great defense, dug it out, and then we're in prime position to get the point there. And now they have doubled their lead. It's 8-4, the score.
They drew Winterstein out of position that time, and as he came in to take the point, Anders Zing, as we've seen, just dekes it right over into the open spot on the inside.
And I believe the Lowell fans were chanting Anders Eng. And this time, the ball hits the floor in front of a full extension diving Michael Zito for Lowell. He couldn't keep up with it. And so finally Galileo scores a point as they had been on a drought.
Yeah, and Nick Lowe finishing that point there. Now here's Chris Lee on serve.
5 serving 8. The set for Blumenfeld. Does Blumenfeld keep it in bounds? He does. And so the point and serve will go back to the Cardinals. Blumenfeld opting not to use his power, but instead with a little soft tap. 9-5 the score.
I think that's a good choice there. You don't have to power it over every time. So the open spot took it well.
Elliott Yu will serve. Lowell's had a tough time on his serves today, generating any points.
Oh, nicely done. David Pang.
David Pang.
Backcourt picks his target.
The rally killer. As just when Lowell got a point from Blumenfeld and figured they were up by 4 and they could get something going. Like I said, they really have not been able to get anything going today off Elliott Yu serves. David Pang with a wonderful kill.
As Blumenfeld finding his range. Didn't try to muscle it that time. Anytime he gets that kind of elevation and that angle down, it's going to be difficult for any team to respond to that.
Calvin Wang checked in for the first time and now takes a seat for Galileo, a freshman. 10 freshmen on this Galileo, at least roster for the championship. I don't know if they carried 10 freshmen their whole season, but for today they have 10 freshmen on their roster. And Lowell finding open space on the floor once again to get the point.
Yeah, Cardillo took advantage of that mismatch up front there with Sandon Tran, drawing him into the net, and Cardillo can find the open target with ease.
And going up for the block there was Lowell. It got stuck on the net, went back to Lowell's side. They played it well, and now it's Galileo setting something up, and it's Pang with the kill, and it's
too strong.
Too strong. I thought he was going to stay in. Thought it maybe just caught that little piece of the corner there on the far back right, but it does not. And so, once again, Lowell has doubled the score of Galileo. They've done it once already in this game when they had an 8-4 lead. Now they have a 12-6 lead.
Can they hold it now? That's the question.
Pang going up for the kill, but a great block attempt. A dual block attempt by Cardillo and Blumenfeld. And now they're really starting to play together, are the Lowell or Cardinals. But Galileo seems to find it an area where they got it in between that blocking duo of Cardillo and Blumenfeld to get the point.
Yeah, Sandon Tran there, another excellent set. Open spot in the back court.
14 guys on the roster for Lowell here at this championship bout. 21 players for Galileo. 7 serving 12 your score. Galileo trailing at the moment, but overall leading 2-0.
Oh, great double block there by Cardillo for the point. How about that? Rejects Pang, then stuffs Tran as well. And this is a much better effort in his third game from Lowell.
And Wesley, the head coach for Lowell, has taken off his bow tie. He had a bow tie when he came here in the beginning. Maybe he felt that bow tie was bad luck. He is not wearing it.
It's Blumenfeld, though.
13 serving 7 with his Cardinals leading by 6 here in game 3. And it's Nicholas Lowe who comes up with the point to make it now 8-13.
And that's perhaps been the most surprising aspect of this game is that Lowell haven't been able to capitalize on Blumenfeld's serve all game long. They've been able to deal with it fairly easily. And that time they set it up for Nick Lowe to pick his spot.
Oh, sorry about that. I think I stepped on your microphone cord there, Steven, your headset cord. 14-8 as the point was collected there by Lowell. And coming off to the bench for Lowell will be Elliott Yu. Serve was by Mitchell Cito.
Oh, Sandon Tran like to get that one back because it's another good set. And he just jumped a little early and put that into the top portion of the net.
A 7-point advantage right now for the Cardinals, who lead 15-8 with their backs against the wall, trying to take at least one game in this match away from the Galileo Lions. A block attempt and just an early jump, I would say, by Galileo's number 3, that being Sandon Tran, jumped a bit too early in trying to block that, and maybe a bit to the left of where the ball went, where he thought it was going to go. And so once again, Lowell has doubled their lead, and a timeout called by Mark Hyun with the Lowell Cardinals leading 16-8.
Blumenfeld that time realized he didn't have to muscle it over once again, and that's what we've seen from him now in Game 3, is that you take a little something off it, it puts the Galileo defenders really a little bit out of position, and that's exactly what happened there. Players scrambling around, couldn't keep it off the floor, and as you said, Lowell have doubled their lead.
Lowell's head coach, Stephen Wesley, the assistant coach, Jackie Sue. The principal is Andrew Ishibashi. And a very spirited section of fans for Lowell. They have these two gentlemen dressed in red polos that really get them going.
Yeah, you need to get
stomping
that one
along on the floor, and then they do this exaggerated arm wave. And so now it's Enders Ang on the serve, with his team leading twice-fold the score of the Galileo Lions, 16-8. Ang with a nice save, setting it up for Blumenfeld, and Blumenfeld spikes it hard.
But not so hard that he hits it out of bounds, and that's what we see now as he's finding his range. Shake it just a little bit off. Too much trouble there for Sandon Tran to dig that one out.
Kenny Lum not being able to handle that spike there by Blumenfeld, and now it's 17-8. And Enders Ang looking for the ace and serving it deep and out of bounds. 17-9, David Pang getting a break right now for Galileo.
Sandon Tran takes a seat as well. Ooh, that took a deflection off the net.
And it was the libero who served and gets the point off his serve. It wasn't an ace by any stretch of the means. It bounced off the net and was playable for Lowell, but just good awareness there by Galileo.
But the fact it took a deflection off the net put Lowell on the back foot, and Endezing tried to send it over first time. Chris Lee was right there to send it back for the point.
10 serving 17 is Darian Liu once again on the serve for Galileo. Deflection off the hands of Winterstein. Galileo needs to hit it across the court. They do.
Oh, brilliant.
It's Chris Lee, but a great dig out there by Lowell to keep it alive. And now it's Liu setting it up for Lowe, who hits it off the net, and it goes out of bounds. Point will go to
They want to say it's off the antenna. They got to have a second look at this because it's surely close. No decision yet. They were outside the antenna when they tried to send it back across the court. They give the point to Galileo. How about that? Redemption then for the Galileo front court.
And the older of the Blumenfeld brothers couldn't believe it. And now Wesley is having a chat with the side judge. That is going to get Stephen Wesley to call timeout. And I wouldn't be surprised if he breaks out from his timeout and continues a conversation with one of these side judges about that call.
Well, certainly a long conference there between the officials because the Galileo player was well outside, but was able to get it across in time. Play on Sports will have live coverage of the Trans-Bay Baseball Championship starting on Tuesday, May 14th at 4 p.m. You can catch all the action of the best 2 out of 3 series in both baseball and softball right here on PlayOnSports.com. Don't forget to check the Play On Sports broadcast schedule page for information on all of our upcoming broadcasts from around the San Francisco section and beyond. Spring Championships are here only on PlayOnSports.com. And for you San Francisco section fans out there, we will have the girls softball final this coming Tuesday. I'll be doing the play-by-play for that, and Michael Smith and I will be there. I believe the keys are on the 25th for the San Francisco section track and field championship. So,
yeah, I can't wait for that.
Yeah,
that's
going
to
to
be a lot of fun.
For sure. Back to the action then.
17 serving 11, 11 serving 17 as Galileo collected the point before the break after what some might call a controversial call. And then it was Walter Cardillo coming up with the block inbounds to give his team a 7-point lead in the serve, 18-11. And Cardillo, after collecting that point, will clap 5 with his teammates on the bench as he'll take a seat on the bench. And it will be Jason Leung to serve for Lowell. The save, the set,
cool.
The near kill.
That's going to go almost into the front row seats, and it did.
And
Leong might have taken a shot there as he dived, and some concern here to be sure because he was diving into the front row of seats. They're going to bring over the Coach Wesley here to take a look at him, sprawling out to try and keep that in play. And Leong is hurt.
A very ferocious hit there by Nicholas Lowe.
Yeah, going cross court that time to try and
the deflection went off a player from Lowell and went way right out of bounds. Racing to get it was Jason Leung, and in an effort to try to keep it alive, dove right into the first bench of seats there in the stands, and he is down. And right now the coaches and now the trainers, even the security guard, taking a look. So, folks, we're going to take a little bit of a break while this is being sorted out. We really do hope the young man is okay. Right now it's the Lowell Cardinals leading 18-12 here in Game 3. With their backs against the wall, they need to win this one to stay alive in this championship match here for the 2013 San Francisco section boys volleyball title.
We're back with you live here from Boyle Court, the home of the Lincoln Mustangs. Jason Leong, after being down for a couple minutes, leaves the court under his own power, but it definitely looks like he'll need some attention. That's a big loss, Michael, for this Lowell backcourt, to be sure, if he's out of the game for a significant period of time.
Yeah, when he's your main defensive specialist, that's the guy you count on to receive serves successfully, receive spikes, and really put you in a good position to keep the ball alive for some kind of an offensive attack. And without him, someone else is going to have to don the special jersey.
Jeffrey Lee is going to take over the duties, I believe, because we couldn't really – the action, of course, happened so quick, we couldn't really tell, but definitely Leong's doing his best to dive into the front row that's trying to keep the play alive. Made some sort of contact with the crowd there in the front row, so we certainly hope he's all right. We won't really speculate much more except to say it didn't look – he did leave under his own power, which is great to see, but in the meantime, it's going to be Jeffrey Lee taking the libero jersey, and this is going to be an interesting change of events here in this game. Will Lowell rally around this?
Well, from a senior to a sophomore now.
A lot of pressure here on the young man's shoulders, to be sure. It's Nick Lowe to serve.
His backcourt teammate, Zito, telling him you'll be all right. Just play to your strengths.
That's a good way for that point to start there for Jeffrey Lee to dig that one out. Too strong that time. And Lowell holds serve, and here's Anders Zing to serve.
19 serving 12 right now is the score. And Chris Lee misses wide right with his kill attempt there. Anguish on his face as he could not connect inbounds. And so now it's 20-12 with Enders Ang on the serve.
And after playing a picture-perfect first couple games for Galileo, now the errors have started to creep in here in Game 3 as Lee sends that one too long.
So Chris Lee now has really been long on a couple of kill attempts here in Game 3, and they have hurt his team. And you could say, my bad all you want, but at some point in time, you're going to have to start responding and trying something else. 21-12 now the score as Lowell's out front by 9 points. And it's Samuel Blumenfeld keeping it alive, the younger of the Blumenfeld brothers. Galileo doing a good job of getting the ball back into the Lowell side of the court. And now they're playing good defense, hoping for some kind of offense. And they finally get it by Chris Lee, and there you go. He goes with a little bit softer of a tap. Still had some ferocity on it, but not as much as he had in the consecutive taps that led to points for Lowell. So he gets his team back on the board with the point, 13 serving 21.
And David Pang back on the court for the Lions.
And it's Daniel Chan, the sophomore, who was in on the floor for the Lions and will now get back to the bench. Hyun doing a good job of playing all his players, letting them get a taste of title action. A dual effort up front by both Winterstein and Pang. And the deflection gets hit out towards Nick Lowe. Lowe in a position where he couldn't really handle that ball, and he hits it out of bounds. And so now it's 22-13. The point and serve go back to Lowell.
Well, Lowell got away with one there because Lee sent that over on the first attempt. They could have put it away at the net. Instead, it was sent back over to the Lowell side. They get to capitalize off the bounce for another Cardinal point.
Elliott Yu on the serve, which has been primarily good for Galileo, and it continues to stay good for Galileo. It's not that Elliott Yu has had any bad serves. He hasn't really had any service errors, but maybe they've been so soft that they've just been perfect for Galileo to hit back, because Elliott Yu has not been able to do anything with his serves. They've all just been right there for Galileo to pick up some points. And now it's 14 serving 22. Galileo, if they want to sweep Lowell out of this building for the championship, they're going to have to really go on a run of consecutive points here.
It's an unforced error there by Nathan Lau, putting that into the net.
Pang in the area, jumping up. And now it's 15 serving 22.
Jeffrey
Galileo
Lee still trying to stretch out and being called into duty here to replace Leong. And that's going to be too far. Oh, they caught the line. Wow.
They're calling the ace. The ace credited to Daniel Chan, a sophomore. make that Calvin Wang a freshman. And now the Galileo bench chanting, he's a freshman, getting behind their young star.
Blumenfeld sends that one long. Again, he's having trouble at cross court when he's close to the net. And this is back-to-back points, and this is going to be a timeout call by Coach Wesley here. He doesn't want this to get away from him here.
Yeah, and I think that was a great timeout there because Galileo was really starting to build something behind their freshman on the serve. And, Wesley needed to really collect his team and take him away from that kind of energy.
Lowell comfortably in command of this game up until, unfortunately, Leon got injured there. And since then, it's been a different game. It's not the fault of any one player, but Galileo sensed an opportunity arising in this third game. They're not out of it. Obviously, Lowell only need 3 points, but Galileo have been certainly the most organized team, and now with one of the key components of this Lowell team out of the mix, they have a chance now to put this game away. They only wish, perhaps, they'd had fewer unforced errors in the early part of this game.
Galileo playing with the pride of a Lion as they are trying to make a momentous comeback in order to sweep the Lowell Cardinals right out of Boyle Court here at the campus of Lincoln High and claim their second ever section title in the sport of boys volleyball in the San Francisco section.
Here's the third consecutive serve from the freshman.
17 serving, 22 is your score. A little baby kind of running underhand tap there from Blumenfeld, and then it was Pang who hit it awkwardly off the net. It'll be an error against the Galileo Lions, and Pang looks at his teammates and says, that was my bad. So 23-17.
Jeffrey Lee's going to take a seat now.
So no defensive specialist on the floor. Could prove to be dangerous for Lowell, who's trying to close out this third game. But I guess you don't need a defensive specialist when your boys up front can block like they do, that being Walter Cardillo and Mr. Blumenfeld.
He's been a monster at that middle blocker position all evening, I should say. And that point might put Lowell over the top here in this third game.
And Lowell is just 1 point away from pushing this into a fourth game as they lead 24-17 here in game 3. Cardillo trying to go for the block. I'm surprised they didn't call for a double tap. And it'll be Darian Liu, who kept it alive for his teammates for Galileo. Block up off the shot that nearly tapped the net.
Done.
And Liu has to get it over. He does, but he sends it deep. And so the Lowell Cardinals will come back to claim a game and keep this match going. 25-17, the score for the Lowell Cardinals here in game 3. And so the Cardinals will live to see another game.
Yeah, and that was a game where certainly the errors crept in there for Galileo. And you almost think back to that celebration before the start of game 3. You know, it's all well and good getting pumped up, to be sure, but did they get a little bit too overexcited there before the start of the third game, thinking that the game was in hand? Against the defending champions, it's always going to be a battle to the finish, no matter what happens. And there were unforced errors there, but also Lowell played a lot better in the third game, and now they have someone to rally around here with the senior Jason Leong out of the game with an injury. No sign of him yet back out on the court, but Lowell having taken that third game. Really now this is 41 points now the total the 2 games to win, right? So, or 40 points, but the end is in sight now for these two teams, and they're most certainly not out of it by any stretch of the imagination.
Something I haven't noticed until now with a Lowell player close up to us is on the right side of the jersey, underneath the black striping, it reads Lowell in cursive font in that cardinal color. Right now it's the younger of the Blumenfeld brothers, that being Samuel Blumenfeld, getting his right hand taped up by head coach Stephen Wesley. The younger Blumenfeld sporting the maroon elite socks. I have a pair of those myself. And he's also wearing the Kobe's. The black Kobe's with the blue Nike swoosh.
I'm sure you have a pair of those too, right?
You know what? I do not own a pair of the Kobe's. I would like to, but I currently do not have a pair. I think my next purchase in my Nike collection is going to be a pair of white and red Griffey 360s, as I have yet to buy a pair of 360s, and I figure why not combine 360s with one of the greatest signature series of any Nike series, that being the Griffs.
So we're going to see another change in the defensive specialist here as Lee has given the shirt over to Mitchell Zito. So Zito, the junior.
Which makes sense.
Will because he's had some time on the court.
Yeah.
I think perhaps because of the rotation, there was an opportunity for him to send Lee in. But Mitchell Zito now will assume the libero duties.
Yeah, he
for
gives
this
someone
game
who's a little bit more experienced as a junior rather than a sophomore.
Lee's the only sophomore. Well, the only sophomore in the lineup. Calvin Lee, the freshman setter. I don't think we've seen him in the game yet so far tonight. But you're right, though. It's a good opportunity here for Zito to get some extended time in this fourth game because he certainly had experience up to this point.
And yeah, that smile that we saw from Hewen after game 2, the head coach for Galileo, not quite the same look on his face now, as he knows that his team could be in trouble if they happen to lose game 4 and have to push it to a game 5.
Yeah, certainly a change in not quite behavior, but the morale of both sets of fans here has changed after that third game. But I'm sure the tempo, as it picks up here in game number 4, so will the spirits of the crowd as well.
Game 4 getting ready to start here momentarily. So far, a recap of how the games have went. It was the Galileo Lions which took game 1 by a score of 25-23, a very back-and-forth contest in that one. In game 2, Lowell had the early lead, and then Galileo just kind of stormed away and took momentum, even though Lowell fought back at times, but Galileo won the second game 25-20. And then Lowell, who was clearly out front in game 3, despite little glimpses of response from Galileo, who might have got overconfident after taking a 2-0 lead, losing 25-17 in game 3 to keep Lowell hanging around.
Blumenfeld opens the game with an ace, and you kind of expecting that all game long.
And now Lowell with a celebration of their own after collecting the first point here in game 4.
Not a lot of topspin on the serve, too much for the backcourt to handle. Let's see if he can produce another one here.
Here comes Blumenfeld. Starts it with his left hand, then goes to his right hand, eyes it as he spins it, then runs up and jumps and hits it. Kill attempt there by Winterstein. Too hard for the radio.
Yeah, he was looking for that near corner. Just too strong.
2-0.
Yeah, and for the first time, looks a concern here on the face of the Lions players.
And now they're going to come together, and have a little bit of a conference. Doing it without their head coach, Stephen Wesley. Taking it within themselves to talk it out. And they're getting encouragement from their fans as that Let's Go Lowell chant starts picking up once again. An early 2-0 advantage for Lowell here in game 4. Lowell, who stayed alive after a game 3 victory. And now it's Blumenfeld with an unforced error on the serve, hitting it up against the net. And that gets Galileo on the scoreboard, and that'll give them the serve. 1 serving 2.
It's still surprising that he's having struggles with the serve, even here now in the early part of game number 4. It's third serve into the net today, and that gives Galileo back the ball.
And it was Kenny Lum serving for Galileo. The set for Pang, and Pang with a kill that gets the fans to go crazy, tying it up at 2-2. The cross-court kill there for David Pang.
This is a good-looking first serve from Kenny Lum. Let's see if he can continue here. A lot of rotation on that ball.
Lum.
Oh, nicely done, and a zing.
Lum, who hit it right to Zito. But Zito dug it out and set it up for his boys in white and black, who got the point. So now the point and serve go back to Lowell. 3-2 to score.
How many times have we seen Anders Zing from the front court there just pick his spot with ease?
Brian Lee will now run up and tap it over the net for his serve. Blumenfeld with a bit of a dive there to save it from going out of bounds. Great dig out by Galileo. That's the second touch. They need to get over on the third, and they do. And now it's Zito digging it out, setting it up. And the point's going to go to Galileo. No, make that Lowell.
Yeah, Lum had no chance that time. It was such a strong kill there from Cardillo. He was falling back to the ground and could only knock it out of bounds for a Lowell point.
Once again, another running jump set. Her serve there from number 6, Brian Lee. And this time, the ball goes wide. 4-3 is a 1-point advantage for Lowell Cardinals. The serve will now go to Galileo.
Peng comes out. He's replaced by Daniel Chan, sophomore outside hitter. And he's going to serve now. Down 4-3.
Daniel Chan, just a sophomore, getting put into the mix. Cardillo's kill attempt blocked up front by Galileo's Winterstein. And now it's Lowell, or make that Darian Liu, who set it up for his teammates. But Cardillo has come and put together a string of consecutive blocks. And now Sam Blumenfeld, the younger of the Blumenfeld brothers, laces one, cross court, and will get the point for the Lowell Cardinals, who now go up to a score of 5-3. And Cardillo will check out.
He was a monster on that previous point there, as you mentioned, with consecutive blocks. So it's Zito to serve them for the first time. Sends it across. Luke digs that out. Back across in one, and it's too strong. Oh, it's sent back over. Lowell keep it alive. He set up for Blumenfeld. Dug out by Lum. Lou is set to set. Up goes Lee. Dealt with by Blumenfeld. He was younger brother, and he finds the open spot in the back of the court. 6-3 now, Lowell lead here in game 4.
Samuel Blumenfeld collecting the point. And there is the young man, Jason Leung, giving us a thumbs up as he walks right in front of us. I think Leung is going to try to test and see if maybe he can come back out here.
Lee commands the point there and goes cross-court in style. 6-4. Yep. Darian Liu takes a seat. Sandon Tran comes back out in the game, and you're right. I think he's going to make an effort here to go back in the game, and what a story this would be for the Cardinals. He looks okay.
Yeah, Leung, who
I think if anything, they just want to, if it's a head injury, just going to make sure he's not concussed or anything like that.
Yeah, he does have a very red face and a very painful look on his face.
Good effort there in front by Samuel Blumenfeld, rising high and sending that across for a point. Lowell maintains serve, and here's Andezing now. Are they going to send Leong back into the game? That's going to be really
what an emotional lift that would be for this squad.
Indeed.
Who mounted a comeback without him.
Oh, nicely done. Sandon Tran goes cross-court from the outside hitter position, and he's finding his range now, 7-5.
And look who's back to serve.
Yeah, indeed.
None other than Nicholas Lowe, the man in which they have collected the most points off.
And they need a few here.
He just hits that low little line driver that barely gets over the net, but is so dangerous for Lowell to try to attack with. Block attempt goes up by the Galileo Lions, but Blumenfeld right there to go up as well. The block goes off their bodies and stays on their floor. And so the point will go to the Cardinals, 8-5.
He's had 3 kills now in this game, and Samuel Blumenfeld certainly picked up his game here in game number 4.
This time it'll be Elliot Yu to serve, who has had some misfortune during his serves so far for the Lowell Cardinals.
The trainer here is talking with Coach Wesley about Leong. We might be seeing him back in. We'll have to wait and see. Kept alive nicely by Lowell. Great dig out there by Zito. Collision in the backcourt. They have to send it across in 3. It's a double hit on Endezing. And a point to Galileo. A collision there in the backcourt between Zito and Endezing resulted in the double hit. And that gives Chris Lee the serve now for Galileo.
And so it will be interesting to see if Leung does come back in. A long conversation going down right now between the athletic trainer and the head coach for the Lowell Cardinals. Galileo down by 2 with the serve, 6 serving 8. And now a good block there by Galileo, and
over and 4. Oh,
they're going to say, I guess they got an extra touch. Refs let one get away from him. I thought once it hit up against the net and they had to play it once more, that was the 4th touch. But instead, they're going to let this rally keep going. They have to now at this point.
Brilliant rally it is. 2. Oh, dug out.
And it's still going. And it's Lee coming up. And now, Lou back to Lowell.
Oh, wow, that gets the Lowell fans on their feet. Tremendous effort by both teams.
Brian Lee closing it out on that point.
I counted 6 separate times that the ball went over to each side of the court. Absolute 110% effort from both teams. And a crucial point for the Cardinals here as they're back on serve. And it's Nathan Lau.
Lee, who's not as tall as Blumenfeld or Cardillo, but has some great leaping ability to go up, put a lot of power on his hits.
And Pang too strong that time. And you have to fancy this front court for Lowell right now as they have Brian Lee, Walter Cardillo, and Jacob Blumenfeld right now. A clear height advantage that Lowell have at the moment as they take the 10-6 lead.
And now head coach Wesley calls over Jason Leung to talk to him, and I'm guessing this is going to be one of those, are you sure you can go?
That serve is too strong from Nathan Lau. So Galileo back on serve. In the meantime, Mitchell Zito remains in for Lowell.
10-7 is the score at the moment. It'll be 7 serving 10 as Sandon Tran, only a freshman, and I expect a lot out of this kid by the time he gets to be a senior. He's made some plays tonight where I would have never guessed he was a freshman.
Yeah, he certainly has. He has had an excellent game. Coach Hune certainly putting a lot of confidence in his ability here tonight.
Yeah, in the starting lineup. Very impressive young man. Blumenfeld tapping it over. And now it's Galileo having to get it over, and a good block there by Cardillo. The point goes to Lowell. 11 serving 7.
Perhaps the Lions are starting to get a little tired here. The serving hasn't been as crisp as we've seen, or the setting, I should say, hasn't been as crisp as we saw in the early games. That's how I think Lowell have got back into this game. Here's Blumenfeld now.
Blumenfeld on the serve. And right now it's the front court trying to play for Galileo, but they're just getting outmatched by the front court of Lowell.
They are.
As Walter Cardillo once again goes up and gets the block.
He's owned that middle blocker position tonight for Lowell, and Galileo have just not had an answer for him.
I can only imagine if that kid plays basketball how good he is in basketball.
But again, Lowell building an early lead. They have a 5-point gap now.
And once again, Blumenfeld with that very powerful serve keeps it in bounds. And now races to keep it in bounds here off the attack. 12-7, and another block by Cardillo. And this is starting to get repetitive now, Steve.
Well, you can see that the setting is not as crisp. You saw it on that play. There was plenty of time for them to set it up, and Lum was brilliant in the first couple of games. Didn't get enough underneathing on the set. Pang, obviously is coming to this game, has been hurt. Was just a little late rising up that time, and sends into the net. And this game already is starting to get away from Galileo, down 13-7. This is a wise spot for a timeout, because they're going to be, the way this is carrying on, this is going to a 5th game. And if you want to watch more of your school's great matchup like this game you're enjoying here tonight, hard to believe that it could be better than last year's, but it's certainly looking that way, then tell your school to sign up for the Play On Sports School Broadcast Program. The program allows schools to broadcast all their games and other activities on the web. For more information, go to playonsports.com/SBP. 13-7, the advantage here for Lowell in Game 4. And Galileo needs some responses, and quick.
Yeah, and I don't know who they're going to draw on to get them, as they have had guys that have just kind of seemed to make mistakes now here in these later stages, whether it be Nicholas Lau or whether it be Also, they've had some problems with Chris Lee, maybe using a little too much power.
You wonder if Leong's day is done because he hasn't moved from that spot on the bench. He took over Wesley's seat. And now Cardillo again is taking command of this fourth game.
And this has definitely been Cardillo's game. Cardillo, who has had himself a pretty good season as far as blocking goes. He led the team in blocks with 64 blocks up until April 24th, averaging about 0.7 blocks per set.
Oh, Cardillo sends that one into the net, and that gives Galileo back to serve. And it was a well-engineered point that time by Lowell, just required the finish from Cardillo and sends it into the net. Not an immediate concern as they lead by 6.
Cardillo, who, like I said, remember these stats only up to April 24th, but nearly doubling the next closest in blocks, that being Engers Eng, who had 36.
And now you can see the mistakes here being made by Galileo. It's a collision in the backcourt between Lum and Liu. Ryan Chu getting in the way a little bit there as well. And they give away possession.
15 serving 8 now as Lowell collects the point. And it is Brian Lee on the serve. Cardillo gets it to stay in bounds.
He does indeed. Cardillo is putting the team on his shoulders right now, doubling the advantage. And these guys, for Galileo, you can tell now, they're starting to look a little tired here, Michael.
Yes, they are. 16 serving 8, and they're getting out of position. They're doing what Lowell was doing in the first couple games. And it's Cardillo once again with the block, and it finds space. 17-8, and now Lowell has opened up their largest lead, I think, of the match at 9 points.
Yeah, and Winterstein, it sums up Galileo's game 4 there, just kind of shaking his hands, like, what is going on here, guys? But Cardillo, as we mentioned, has just been able to finish from that middle blocker position.
Welcome to the game, Walter Cardillo. He has come alive here in this fourth set.
And that's Pang finishing with ease. How about that? That's more like it from Galileo, to be sure. A nice serve from, or nice bump set from Liu. Good serve from Lum. And Pang finishes in style.
Pang, who called for a player of his to come around. Do we want to get the trainer on, or does she not want to speak? 17-9. What'd you get out of that, though, Stephen, as Lowell collects a point, and now they are up 18-9.
Well, Samuel Blumenfeld and Cardillo certainly picked up their game here in Game 4. Leong hit his head on a person's knee as he was diving, which we kind of thought happened, but his return is questionable. It's really up to Coach Wesley at this point.
And Wesley seeming to just draw off the inspiration and the momentum that he's had without Leong.
That's 4 hits there on Galileo, and this game is turning into a rout in a hurry. It's 19-9.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it right now is probably the method he's going with, and he doesn't want to damage his player anymore if he doesn't have to. His team doing well enough without him.
And there's a rare mistake there from Lowell in this game. Too strong for Blumenfeld to handle as that one goes out of bounds.
He almost hit it into that basketball hoop that's slightly hanging down from the ceiling there. 19-10 is the score. Lowell does lead by 9. However, it will be the Galileo Lions with the serve.
Brilliantly dug out by Zito that time.
Sam Blumenfeld going up, and there was contact with the antenna.
Yep.
And they're going to give the point to Galileo.
19-11 now. And it's Calvin Wang to serve.
Calvin Wang, only a freshman.
Too strong. Out by about 3 feet. That's going to be a tough pill to swallow there for the young man.
Point and serve goes back to the Cardinals. 20 serving 11, and it's Enders Eng, the 4-year senior starter. 4-year starter as a senior. The guy that coach believes is like a son to him.
Oh, great block up front by Blumenfeld. Too strong, and that's going to be a point for Galileo. That just clips the sideline there.
Galileo now they need to string points together to get some kind of momentum. They're down 12-20. And it will be Sandon Tran who will check off the floor and go to the bench. Nicholas Lowe, the man that they've been very successful with on serves, to serve for Galileo, who trails by 8 points. They get it over the court, and a very great save there by Zito to keep it alive. His teammates couldn't help him out. It goes underneath the net, and so the point and serve stick with Galileo, 13 serving 20, and a timeout taken by head coach Stephen Wesley of the Lowell Cardinals.
Play on Sports is on Facebook and Twitter, giving you news and information as well as links to great highlights. Follow us on Play on Sports on both Facebook and Twitter. You can also access thousands of live and on-demand games on YouTube at youtube.com/PlayOnNetwork. Keep up with all the high school action you see every week from your destination for high school sports, PlayOnSports.com.
All right, thank you, Stephen.
You're welcome.
Just an update in the Warriors game for some of you Bay Area fans that want to keep an eye on that. The Warriors lead 15-14 with 6 minutes and 23 seconds left to go in the first quarter.
3 consecutive points here for Galileo on serve. As you mentioned, Nick Lowe has been a danger man on serve here. Can Galileo claw back into this game?
If there's one man they could do it behind, it's definitely Nicholas Lowe on the serve. Eng setting it up for Jacob Blumenfeld. And Blumenfeld, with just the right amount of touch, scores the point and will give his Lowell Cardinals team back the serve and an 8-point lead at that, 21-13.
Boy, how did Galileo have to regroup quickly should this game end soon? They only need 4 points to Lowell.
Elliott Yu with the soft serve. And I'm not talking Baskin-Robbins. And then Zito racing down to chase it. And like I said, just off of Elliott Yu, I think he just hits the ball so soft, doesn't really put anything extra on it on his serves. He's just so focused on getting it over the net that he makes it real easy for Galileo to respond and put a hit that they'd like to put on, because every time he has served, Galileo has seemed to score off of him. 21-14. Ball being bounced around here on the Lowell side of the court, and now it's back to Galileo. A set for the Lions.
Ooh, well kept in Zito.
Yeah, great jump there by Zito.
And they get the point.
Jake Blumenfeld again, the man that they call on to get the kill.
You can't blame Zito for wanting to keep that ball in because he couldn't tell if that was going out of bounds or not. Got a great contact on the ball. And who else? Blumenfeld finishes the point. Lowell just 3 points away now from tying this up 2 games apiece.
And so Coach Wesley now going with a no-defense lineup. This is his strictly offense unless you want to count Cardillo as his main defense up front. Cardillo with a lot of blocks has come alive. He has been the beast for the Lowell Cardinals here in Game 4. The ball deflects off the net, and now it's Lowell. It's Lee who hits it, but right to a player for Galileo. And now it's Pang!
Finishes it. Wow.
Bang, bang for Pang as he keeps that one alive in the court of play.
Kenny Lum, though, getting great contact on the set. Pang rising high to finish the point.
15 serving 22. And now it's Cesar Mendoza, the sophomore.
I think he's in the game for the first time tonight. They're trying to give the starters some time here.
Cardillo, who goes up for the hard kill and deflects it off the hands of number 11, that being number 4, Kenny Lum. And it finds the floor. 23 serving 15, and Blumenfeld is back deep with his very unique serve in which he places it on each hand, then runs up and jumps it, also giving a little bit of backspin on it as well. Pang killing it off of Elliott Yu, and so that'll be a point for Galileo, and it'll keep them alive, 16 serving 23.
Got to play with backs to the wall now, Galileo.
It's Kenny Lum on the serve for the Lions. Block attempt gone bad by Nicholas Lowe. David Lee will be the one who is credited with the points, or make that Brian Lee, the junior outside hitter, And so now Lowell, 1 point away from taking this to a fifth and final set. Cross the net. Pang.
Finishes
Yes.
the style. How important is he going to be to this Galileo team should it go to a fifth game?
Yeah, I don't know if you take Pang off the floor for the rest of this match.
You can't. It's just, they've had Darian Liu out for a few points now because they're obviously trying to rest him up as much as possible.
And Pang will take a breather. Remember, he is in pain. He does have both ankles taped up.
But he's going to be a crucial factor in this fifth game should it go to that.
17 serving 24 with Daniel Chan, the sophomore, on the serve.
And it will. We're going to a fifth game.
And there we go. Raymond Chung. It goes off of his hands. He could not handle it for Galileo. 25-17. The final here in game 4.
Wow.
And that's the exact same score we had in game 3.
15 points then, the goal here in game number 5. And, well, it's all about effort now at this point. Whatever both
and I have
teams,
to say the pendulum is clearly swung
without question,
into the favor of the Lowell Cardinals.
And you think back to where that decisive moment was, and you have to say it was perhaps before the start of the third game. Lowell were focused. They were listening intently to every word that Coach Wesley had to say. Meanwhile, Galileo were maybe just a little bit overconfident, perhaps, celebrating before it was already over. And the fans, as you can see right now, on the Lowell side are pumped up. Galileo fans, unfortunately, maybe having some deja vu here. Eerily similar to last year, although this game went to fifth game. They're going to do their best to respond now. And it's getting loud in here once again.
And remember, there's the game that they played earlier this year went to a fifth game, not in the same kind of fashion, but it did go into a fifth set. Let's recap that one a little bit. Back on May 1st, Galileo won it 3-2. They took the first game 26-24. They then lost the next two, losing 19-25 and then 22-25. Oh, okay. They have it in reverse order. So Galileo went on to lose the first game 24-26, then stormed back to take the next two 25-19, 25-22. Then Lowell won game 4 to make it 25-19. Galileo 15-13. As remember, now that we go into a fifth game, 15 will be the point in which they will need for game point. So it drops down 10 points. It's no longer 25 needed for game point, and now we'll go to 15. This is the equivalent to sudden death. And like I said, Coach Hyun, a very different look on his face than which he had after game 2.
And it almost seems like the conditioning, perhaps for Lowell, is just that little bit better. Because
great point.
Galileo looked
very
a bit
tired
worn out in that fourth game. And with such a quick turnaround between games, now you just have to sum together whatever energy you can. As we see over here on the near side, Darian Liu getting tended to because he's been all over the court today. He's certainly going to be hurting tomorrow with the amount of contact he's had with the court here. And he looks like he appears to be in
very deep pain.
Yeah.
Darian Liu.
Giving him a massage here in his right leg, but
the defensive specialist pounding the floor.
And they need him out on the court because it's a crucial cog of this Galileo team out right now. And you can see here Kenny Lum is doing his best to fire up the team. But again, we said back in the top of the broadcast, I had a feeling this was going to go 5 games. It has. You have to pick a winner, though. We'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, no, we knew this was going to be an evenly matched game.
And there's going to be, I think they're going to have perhaps a change in libero here for, well, let's see. I think they are. They're going to have a change in libero now. Who's put on the shirt for Galileo?
That is the question. If I had to guess, I would say
maybe not. Let's see. Let's hold on a second here. Anyway, we're about ready to get started here. Game 5, 15 points to decide this one.
I would say that it was Ryan Shu who put on the jersey.
And we're underway. Kenny Lum to serve.
Fifth and final game. Dug out by Galileo. Payne going up for the kill. Great defense there by Lowell. Now it's Blumenfeld with the deflection by Galileo. They keep it alive. And now it's Payne once again trying to finish it off. But a great sprawling play there by Zito. And then the ball bounces right in front of the new replacement at libero for Galileo. And so Lowell gets on the scoreboard first here in Game 5, 1-0.
How about the dig by Mitchell Zito to keep that play alive there for Lowell? High energy point, though, to be sure for both teams.
And there goes Blumenfeld. The spin on the left hand, brings it back to the right, jumps up and hits it up against the net.
Can you believe it?
A service error by Blumenfeld evens things up at 1 point apiece. Pang calling for a substitution, and Coach Hyun saying not quite yet. And now it will take place as Pang checks off the floor. Coming in replacement is Daniel Chan, the sophomore. To serve is Nicholas Lowe. Check that. It will be the replacement, Daniel Chan, to serve.
Over in 3.
And what I've noticed is that I think when Pang is supposed to be serving, that's when he calls for his timeout or his break.
Both teams scrambling here. Lead finish, it's blocked.
Great defense. And now it's Galileo with the chance to have the attack. Deflection goes off the hands of Lee. Chris Lee, who cannot believe it, and hits inbounds. 2-1 the score in favor of Lowell. But yeah, that's what I've noticed now, Steven. Now I've noticed every time that Pang checks out for a breather, I think that's when it's supposed to be he serves, and I'm sure that his serving style probably involved jumping, and he doesn't want to jump on his ankles.
Yeah, well spotted, Michael.
2-1 now, and it's Lowe going up for it. The ball was blocked into the net, and the point will go to Galileo. Off of Lowell and into the net. And so Galileo stays alive. 2-2. Sandon Tran, the freshman, who's in and now out. And it'll be Winterstein, Joey Winterstein, coming back up front. So up front in the front court for Galileo, it's Winterstein along with Lowe and Chris Lee. In the middle of the floor is Kenny Lum.
Brian Lee takes a seat and Jeffrey Lim comes back out for Lowell.
Serving was Cesar Mendoza. And Galileo collects a point off Mendoza's serve.
Yeah, Blumenfeld got stuffed at the net there, I believe, by Lee. And that's a big point there for Galileo. 3-2 lead here.
It's Mendoza and Pang playing in the back. Mendoza with the serve. The set for Sam Blumenfeld.
Oh, well kept in.
Saved by Pang. And I don't know if he would have been better just letting it go, or if it was going to go bounce and bounds.
Yeah, it looked like it was going out, but
the point will go to Lowell. It'll now be 4 serving 3, and Mitchell Zito, the man who came in. He was part of the regular rotation, but now he's asked to wear the libero jersey in replacement of Jason Leone, who was hurt after diving headfirst into the stands and hitting his head up against the knee of a fan.
Lee sends that one into the net. Fakes there with Ender Zing and Nathan Lau.
And so Lowell will stay with the serve by Mitchell Zito. Out front, 4-3. And Galileo comes back with the point of their own. This time, it's number 4, Kenny Lum, the senior. Guy who's mostly known for setting up people. Instead, this time, he gets the kill of his own.
A lot more energy from Galileo in this 5th game.
Zito setting it up. And what a deceptive kill out by Enders Eng.
And once again,
the most experienced of the guys on the floor.
Once again, we've seen that play so many times today from the senior. It works once again, and more importantly, gives him the serve here, up 5-4 in Game 5.
Enders Eng also on the serve now, after he was the one that put his team up by a point, 5-4, right through the ropes there that hang down from the ceiling. And now it's Chris Lee trying to get it over the blockers up front.
Great save, Zito. Keep the play alive, over in 3.
Blumenfeld goes over the back to get it across the net. And then Galileo ends up hitting it on against their own net. So Lowell leading by 2, 6-4 to score. Enders Eng still on the serve.
Libero sent that into the net there for Galileo. It was a great effort by Lum to keep the play alive, but they have a 2-point lead now to Lowell.
Chris Lee
Let that
gets
one
his
go.
shot blocked, but it'll be blocked out of bounds, so Galileo will get the point.
Well read by Blumenfeld there, but just couldn't keep his hands inside. Ball caroms off his wrist.
The younger Blumenfeld up front on that right side for Lowell. 5 serving 6. Zito setting it up, and it's Jacob Blumenfeld that digs it out and gets it over the court, or over the net. And too many touches for Galileo. What a great block by Nathan Lau up front for Lowell, the senior.
Yeah, he's had some big plays up front today as Lau. A little assist there from Jacob Blumenfeld, and Peng Bryson High that time just not able to put it over. And it's a 2-point lead for Lowell now. It's halfway to glory here.
And here's Elliott Yu, who's been the unfortunate of all servers today, as he has put it in perfect position for Galileo to get points. They need to hit it over, and they do. It's Jake Blumfeld. Winterstein with the soft tap, and another great save by Zito. This time Winterstein with a bit of a block, still being played in by Lowell. It's Blumenfeld who kills it off someone from the back row for Galileo, but they get it over the net, and now we're seeing another great volley. We haven't seen one of these since game 3, in which we've seen a really long and back and forth volley. And it's Mr. Lee this time for Lowell. Brian Lee with the kill, the junior with the goggles.
Too strong for the libero to handle again for Galileo. On a tough rally there, but boy, Lowell have been so much better organized here, and especially in game 4, and now here in game 5 as well.
8 serving 5. As Elliott Yu
hits the antenna.
Gets a point scored, and yes, Peng hitting the ball up against the antenna. Now puts the Lowell Cardinals out front by 4, and that immediately gets Coach Hyun to get up out of his chair and call a timeout to talk to his Galileo Lions.
Stay tuned for the PlayOnSports.com post-game show where we will select our player of the game and have a live interview with that player. It's coming up following the game on your destination for high school sports, PlayOnSports.com.
If Lowell does continue to go on to win this game, do you have a player in mind?
Boy, it's so hard to choose right now. I mean, there's at least 10 candidates, from the two teams combined.
I agree.
It's really, especially in a game like volleyball, it's really hard to say it's on one particular player.
And what can Galileo do to get back in this one?
I'm not sure, to be honest. They've just got to find that extra energy, and it hasn't helped that Darian Liu is out of the game.
Yeah.
That's a big loss, but I think they've just worn down. I think they were so crisp in the first 2 games, and it's just Lowell just found a way to exploit him here.
The set for Winterstein.
And that's been another big reason why, with Nathan Lau up front. Lau and Cardillo, Blumenfeld brothers, when they've been up there as well.
It was Cardillo who was the main blocker in game 4, and now it seems that Lau has taken over that role here in the 5th and final game. And it's Peng.
Finishes the point.
Lacing one off of Lau to make it 6-10. Nathan Lau, also a senior.
These Galileo players, for the most part, have been out on the court the whole time. Coach Wesley's been able to mix and match personnel a little bit. For Galileo, it's been like more or less the same 7-8 guys out on the court, and you can tell now there's some heavy breathing, to be sure.
Galileo choosing to go without a defensive specialist for the moment. And a great save by Calvin Wang, but then he hit it up against that out-of-bounds portion of the rafters here. And so 11-6, a 5-point lead for the Lowell Cardinals, who are just 4 points away from claiming their 8th section title in the sports of boys volleyball. And that would tie them with the Lincoln High School Mustangs, the school in which we are at, the campus.
Cardillo again. And Peng favoring the ankle here as he gets up. Boy, he's been asked to do a lot today is David Peng. And Cardillo is just too much of a force for Peng, especially at this point in the game, to try and rise over him. And they have the number of the front court right now to Lowell. 3 points away.
Nathan Lowell on the serve with his team up by 6. 12-6 is the score. Peng gets it over the net. It deflects off of Cardillo, and Cardillo fired up.
The sign reads, Walter Cardillo, you're my hero. And the way this game is carrying on, he might well be the big man on campus tomorrow. If Lowell can pull this out, they need just 2 points now. And it's Nathan Lau, one of no shortage of heroes on the day for the Cardinals. It's in his hands now.
13 serving 6. The Cardinals just 2 points away from storming back. And Galileo will get the point. There was a violation there on behalf of Lowell.
Massively needed point two for Lowell, and it's now going to be Kenny Lum to serve.
Wesley asking what that was for, but once he got his answer, he quickly walked away.
Coach Hume will call timeout, and I'll give us a quick chance to read one more advertisement. And if you want to watch more of your school's great matchups, like the game that you're enjoying here tonight, then please tell your school to sign up for the Play On Sports School broadcast program. The program allows schools to broadcast all their games and other activities on the web. For more information, go to playonsports.com/SBP. Once again, you can see a list of all the schools here in the state of California that have already signed up for our program. So please, if you're one of those schools out there that's listening to this excellent exhibition of volleyball tonight and you're interested in joining, please do so.
All right, thank you, Stephen. And there goes Lowell getting their chant going again with the help of those two ringleaders.
These fans are ready to erupt here. 2 points away.
And so we're back. And Lowell now just 1 point away.
And despite the best efforts of Peng to rise high there against Blumenfeld, the ball took a deflection off his wrist. And Lowell have championship points for the first time. Blumenfeld to serve. And a timeout called by Galileo. Well, this has all gotten away from them, hasn't it, Michael, unfortunately?
Yeah, it's come down to this. Galileo would need to string together 8 consecutive points in order to come back and win a championship match in which they started with a 2-game lead. They took the first 2 games of this match and thought that they were going to have easy pickings. Maybe got a little overconfident in between games 2 and game 3.
It's interesting that if you pick a moment, it's rare you pick a moment of the game where the action on court doesn't dictate how the overall match turns out. But in retrospect,
or maybe it did happen on the court, though. Maybe they just spent all their energy in the game. You know, like they say, you know, the tortoise and the hare. The tortoise won because he didn't exhaust all his energy right away. He just kept a slow and steady pace, and it seems that that's what Lowell has done. They played their brand of ball. They never tried to pick it up and get out of character. And so Lowell on the attack. It's Cardillo with the final point to close the game out. A facial off of Lee, and that will be the ending hit, the ending spike in what caps off a momentous comeback here at Boyle Court on the campus of the Lincoln High Mustangs. The Lowell Cardinals are your 2013 San Francisco section boys volleyball champions for the 8th time in school history. That'll tie them with the Lincoln Mustangs for the most ever in the San Francisco section, as they started counting boys volleyball championships in this section in the 1994-1995 school year. And the final score will look like this. I believe that was 25 to 17 once more I'm sorry,
25-22.
No, 15. 15 to 7?
Yeah. 15-7.
So the final score will look like this, folks. It is the Lowell Cardinals who win 3 games to 2. And how they did it, 23-25, 20-25, 25-17, 25-17, 15-7. Worth noting, all 3 of their wins coming by 8 points. Very, very impressive, and that just shows that I think the theme that we kind of put over and over on the map there was that I think the energy factor of Galileo, they just did not have anything left in the tank.
Yeah.
Because those are pretty big blowout losses in all 3 of those games. 8 points is pretty big.
Yeah, it's a real shame because they really, it's another classic to be sure, especially in the championship game for it to go 5 games. But yeah, Lowell just had a little bit more in the tank at the end of the day, and you could see that, especially in that 4th game, the Lions start to wear down a bit. But at the same time, an interesting thing we saw there in the post-game celebration for Lowell was Endezing on the back of Walter Cardillo, riding him around like he's the horse that carried him to the title, and he came up big time, particularly in games 3 and 4. And in the end of the day, Galileo really didn't have an answer for Cardillo.
And I'm thinking that's Andrew Ishibashi. I'm not too sure. Maybe not. But I just know there are some very excited Lowell fans right now. Yes, we are. And I don't think they can even believe what they witnessed here tonight. Team that came back down 2 games to none, backed against the wall, and under extreme pressure, they come back. And who knows, maybe it was the coach ditching the bow tie. Yeah. Coach Wesley ditching the bow tie, as his team sure did respond after that. Maybe it was the injury to Jason Leung, in which his team started playing inspired ball since then.
There was a turning point, though, in the 3rd game, to be sure, and even though Lowell were leading at that point, I think they just found their rhythm as well. Made a lot of errors in the first couple games in particular, and despite the not exactly exemplary serving of Jacob Blumenfeld, they somehow found a way to win, and that's the important thing. Volleyball is a team sport at the end of the day. That's why there's 5 or 6 guys on that team.
So that was Robert Ray. I'm sorry. That was Robert Ray, the athletic director that we saw, congratulating and clapping 5 with everyone.
But there were 5 or 6 guys on the team that are deserving of the Player of the Game award. So I think perhaps we should take a little break here and figure out who that is.
Yeah, folks, we'll be right back. We're going to determine who we think is worthy and deserving of our Play On Sports Player of the Match. We'll get right back. But once again, final score here, 3 games to 2. It took all 5 sets for the Lowell Cardinals to win by a final score of 23-25, 20-25, 25-17, 25-17, 15-7. Their 8th section title in school history. Gentlemen, welcome to the post-game show. We have finally got caught up with our player of the game, Jacob Blumenfeld. Congratulations, man.
So
you guys stormed back
Yeah.
from a 2-game deficit to claim the 8th section title in boys volleyball for your school, and that now ties the Lincoln Mustangs for the most in the section's history. How do you feel about that?
It's great. It's a great feeling, especially coming back. It makes it so much sweeter, so it's a good feeling.
What's it feel just to be back-to-back champions now? You guys were already defending champs after winning last year and beating a team in which was kind of favored in Galileo, and now you guys kind of have the target on your back like they did last year, and you guys defend. I mean, that's the hardest thing to do. I don't think people realize how hard it is to defend a championship, and you're able to do that.
Yeah.
How's that feel?
It's great. I remember last year, I was interviewed last time, and I know that a big issue for us last year was we needed to focus, and I feel like we really did that. We worked on this whole season, and especially when we were down 2 sets, we really came together and focused up, and that's really the difference in the game.
Yeah, a lot of things I was reading about you is that you were one of the things you wanted to make sure that you did before you graduate and go on to bigger and better things is you wanted to make sure that you left this program off in good hands and that the boys younger than you were prepared and ready to keep the Lowell volleyball tradition strong. Do you feel that you've done that?
Definitely, especially my brother. He's a grade younger than me. I feel like we've all taught him well, and I definitely have confidence in these boys next year. They're
and
really
how good
well
is he
rounded.
going to be next year?
He's going to be amazing. I think he's going to be really, really good. This year he stepped up a lot. Even though he had an injury, he still stepped up so much, and he was really clutch for us.
Well, speaking of an injury, maybe one that really kind of sparked your momentum, down 2-0 in the 3rd game of this match, and you guys already had the lead, but still kind of seemed a little something special once Leung went down.
Right.
Did you guys start playing for Jason?
Oh, definitely. It made us come together, you know. We just look back at the whole season as a great experience. I mean, we went to San Diego. Our team was so close together, and with him going down, it just made us fight for it and fight for it so much more.
And I noticed you had some taping on your elbow. What happened there? Was that just for fashion?
No, I hyperextended my elbow in the beginning of the season. It's just coming back. So.
Okay, and I noticed Coach had a bow tie at the beginning of the day. He tossed it. Do you think maybe that had a little something to do with it?
Maybe, loose enough.
Now, Coach really described you as kind of being the heart and soul of the team. What are you going to take away, from Coach? I mean, what has he taught you? And I'm sure you're going to miss him a lot. I'm sure he's been a very inspirational figure in your life. What's the one thing you're going to really draw from Coach Wesley?
Yeah, he's definitely my biggest role model. And next year, I'm going off to play volleyball in college. So.
And where are you going? He kept this a secret from me the whole time and said, I'll find out if I get to interview you. So where are you going?
I'm going to Springfield College in Massachusetts. They're the championships for the NCAA Division III this year.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to keep in touch with Steven, though. He's a great coach. He taught me everything I know about the game, and I love him so much.
Now, are you getting your partner, Eng, to go out there? Because he also kept that a secret. Do we
no.
know where Enders is going?
Enders is going to UC San Diego, and he's going to be walking on to try out for the team there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, might this be a thing where if your brother does good, you might try to recruit him to come to Springfield?
Oh, definitely. He's really wanting to play in college, too.
Awesome. Well, you know what? I got to let you go and celebrate. It's Friday night, but, hey, it was just an awesome experience to get to watch such an exhilarating comeback from you guys, down 2-0. And, you know, we were talking about how body language might not show things, but, you know, Galileo, we saw them. They were smiling. They thought they kind of maybe had this one in the bag, and their fans, you know, they acknowledged them when they were getting loud. Meanwhile, your fans are getting really loud, and I didn't see any of you guys acknowledge them. It seemed like you were just really dialed in to what Wesley. What did Wesley say really quick before you leave? What did he say to you guys in between 2 and 3?
He said, don't worry about the fans. Let the fans get excited for you and use that energy. But if they're screaming or talking, just don't worry about it. It's U6 on the court. You got to focus and bring it together. Just U6.
And just Cardio with his blocking there in game 4. What'd that mean?
Oh, it gave us so much momentum. We got so excited, jumping up, cheering. It was a big push for us.
Well, congratulations once more, Jacob, for making history.
Thank you so much.
And helping your team earn their 8th section title in the sport of boys volleyball, now tied for the most in section history. So congratulations. Enjoy it and have fun in Springfield, okay?
Thank you
Be
so
safe,
much.
and I look forward to hearing more about you, and I wish you the best of luck and success.
Thank you.
Folks, that's our player of the match. His name is Jacob Blumenfeld, a senior, had 9 kills tonight. It was just magnificent, spectacular. Any of the following words can be used to describe him as his team they capped the comeback. They down 0-2, and they came back to win 3-2. Very strong performance from the Lowell Cardinals, well-deserving. And we'll be right back to wrap this whole thing up, Stephen and I. All right, Michael Smith back with you alongside Stephen Davies, playonsports.com, your destination for high school sports. And, Steve, it was quite a match that we got to see tonight. Did this one top even last year's or different?
I think the difference with last year's game in particular is that there were 4 very hard-fought games that could have gone either way. I think it was clear after that second game that that Lowell had just a little extra in the tank, and the conditioning I think was better, and I think they just settled into the game more. Unfortunately for Galileo, they kind of ran out of steam there a little bit at the end. Still a classic though. I mean, anytime it goes 5 games in the championship, it's going to be a game people will remember. But I think overall last year's game was a little bit more fun. But
sure.
Even still, I think the right team ended up on top here this evening.
Blumenfeld, a 2-time interviewee.
Indeed.
In our first 2 years of coverage, a rare feat at that, and he was well-deserving. The kid just came through with some kills today. He had some bad serves, but who didn't out there? There was a lot of bad serves to be had, and the bottom line is he responded from that. He didn't let it get the best of him.
Indeed.
And it seems like he's just really, really happy for his younger brother. He thinks his younger brother has a lot of potential and could help Lowell to maybe go back to back to back. I mean, I told him, I said, one of the hardest things to do is even just going back to back alone and defending a title.
Sure.
They were able to do that.
Yeah, and that was the thing is that despite it wasn't his best game serving for sure, but despite that, he was able to pull it together, and it says a lot about his pedigree as a player. And of course, he's moving on to play in college now as well. And Springfield again, an excellent player to be sure. And I certainly wish him all the best moving forward.
Yeah, Coach Wesley, I guess, said to don't worry about the fans. They'll make their noise. Just you do what you do, play your game. And that was all that was said in between 2 and 3, but might have been the most important message that the team needed, because from there they just went on a run and really blew out Galileo in each game, to be quite honest. So, folks, they're trying to get everyone out. The lights are closing on us here at Boyle Court, the home court here for the Lincoln High School Mustangs, who are now they have a rival that is now tied with them for the most section titles in boys volleyball, as the Lowell Cardinals, with their win tonight, take home their 8th section title, which ties them with the Lincoln Mustangs in the sport of boys volleyball. So for everyone involved in the broadcast, Stephen Davies, my partner, videographer Hans Webb, and our producer Omar Lewis, this is Michael Christopher Smith, a.k.a. Mike on the mic, signing out from the City by the Bay in San Francisco, wishing you all a wonderful weekend, and hopefully you enjoyed the broadcast of what was a fantastic 5-game match to determine this year's 2013 champion in the sport of boys volleyball in the San Francisco section. Once again, Lowell taking it by a 3-2 margin, and it was very fun to watch. So stay tuned, stick around for more Play on Sports coverage of high school events. We will be bringing you every championship pretty much in the Northern California sections from here on out. Like Stephen Davies alluded to, we'll be covering the San Francisco section track finals from Kezar. Can't wait to do that. I'll be filming a little golf next Tuesday. It should be fun. So just take a look at the schedule. Go to playonsports.com, and you'll see a lot of goodies that you will want to keep your eyes and attention glued to. All right, folks, have a great night.
Bye.